I said, oh, he.
Born in
She said, I don't know.
I'm part of the Lonnie Webster clan.
And by the time Dave comes out, Michael, and I was like,
I just sent you.
and so I go out and he goes, I can't tell where I can mowed and where I haven't mowed. He couldn't even tell. I said, no, I didn't have to mow today. I said, I thought you were coming next week.
Say hi, Sally.
Okay, so I was driving here and I'm like, I'll show
Video
you.
sit.
Not yet. Okay, not yet. So for this first hour, no. Okay. Channel, yes. And we'll readjust everything. So we'll have a break between the two. Okay. But first we talk about the mediumship and all that good
Yes,
stuff.
yes, spirit chat.
Let me look at it. There's one person we better get out.
That's all right. Good morning.
Good morning.
So welcome to our little spirit chit chat. So it's gonna be kind of a fun long day. I'm Miranda, psychic medium, and this is Sally, she's energy worker and energy healer. And we just kind of work really well together. So we've been doing a lot of fun projects together. So for this first hour, what we're going to be doing is just like answering your questions, like what have you always wanted to ask, about mediumship or ask about energy healing, and all those fun spiritual questions. And then also we'll move into readings, like so, because I've already got spirits stepping in that'll want to deliver some messages. They'll be short. They're not going to be like, I'm not telling your business to everybody. Spirit's got a really cool way of keeping everything, private and like, yeah, they're pretty discerning about that stuff. I'm not gonna be like, so I see that you. That's not how it works. They're just light messages from our loved ones and from our guides and people that are on the other side and in our lives. So to start, let me ask first of all, how many of you have ever done anything like this before? Come to a little spirit chat. Awesome. A lot of newbies. I love it. How many of you have you had actual reading before from someone? Right on. How many of you had one from one of us last time we were here? Woo! One. Just one. All right. So what I'd like to do, since you guys are so like new to this, most of you, tell me. Let's just start with some questions. Like what questions would you be curious about? Whether it's energy work and what Sally does with past life. I don't know how she knows the things she knows, but past life and healing energy, how that works. What questions do you guys have to start? That way we kind of know where to go. Yes.
How soon did you realize you were a medium? I mean, that you had the gift.
It's a funny story. I always knew that I knew things. Like I don't see the dead people. That's not my gift. I don't see them walking around. But I knew what people were thinking, and I could finish their sentences. Which, when you're a Gen Xer, in that age group, that generation, you didn't do that.
Right.
That was shut down. Like, if you think you know everything, go to your room. I'll see you in 2 weeks. So like, it was really, that was not encouraged. And so. Which is funny because my mom is totally open to all of this, but she just thought I was being the smarty pants, And so, and being able to enter a room and being able to feel like what the mood was before I ever walked in the room. So those things I knew, and then I didn't start pursuing any of this work until about 13 years ago. I'd always been curious about it. I'd been going to my psychics. I'd been like, gosh, I wish I was psychic. And I feel like with childbirth, when you give birth, all of a sudden you have a psychic sense that you didn't know. So that happened a little bit. But it's just kind of like you just know things. You don't think much of it, right? So about 12 years ago, started playing with tarot cards, and then ended up winning a free reading from John Edward. Like after challenging the universe with, well, if I'm psychic, then, show me a sign. I won a reading with a psychic, and they were like, you're going to do what I do. I'm like, I don't see dead people. And then it happened again. Like 2 weeks, I was like, well, I mean, they all say that to everybody. That's just what they all say. Happened again. And then I was like, well, I mean, if John Edward or Sylvia Brown were to tell me, I guess I'd have to listen. Kid you not, I won a reading from John Edward. And he's like, you're going to do what I do. Get yourself in development classes. Okay. But I'm like, I still, at that point, I didn't even know when I would do the cards how I knew things. I just thought, like, I was really dumb about the whole thing, to be honest. And then I started getting into development circles.
Your thoughts, it would just come through like
Yeah,
that?
it would just come through. So I would do a card, I would pull a tarot card, and certain things would jump off the page or off the card at me. And I'd be like, I feel like your grandmother wants, like, I feel like I'm hearing from your grandmother. But to me, I didn't think that was mediumship because I didn't see the dead people. I thought you had to see them to be a medium. And so then I started going through the development classes, and I had actually a friend of mine who is a medium. I was telling Rush, and I said, but I'm not a medium. She's like, what do you think a medium is? You got to see the dead people. And she's like, no. So she hooked me up with a mentor who's been amazing, and so I've been developing for quite a few years now, and so now we've gone from discerning some of the messages to full-on channeling. So it's crazy. Now channeling. Disclaimer, we'll be doing that later. However, this is the first time I've done it in public, and who knows how it's going to go. So you're welcome. So who knows? So far it's just been my guides and my grandmother, who I hadn't heard from since she passed away.
And mine.
And your grandmother. Yeah.
She's
So-
really good.
So
She's so, I'm not that good. Yeah, she's really that good.
low bar, Sally. Low bar. Then whatever I do will look amazing. Okay. So really, I mean, that's, development. I'm around a lot of other mediums. We do a lot of practice work on each other. But I've been a practicing professional medium now for about 6 years now. I did free readings for the longest time, just to practice and work. So, yeah. Did that answer that?
It did.
All right. What other questions do you guys have? Yes.
So like when you get, excuse me, when it's a room full of people and you get messages, how do you decipher what message is supposed to go to what person? Do you get like little whispers like, okay, it's the girl in this shirt, or
Sometimes yes. It can happen in one of two ways. And I always have to like leave it up to my guides in the moment to tell me exactly what's going to happen. So sometimes they'll start giving me messages and someone in the room might claim it. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, okay, so your grandma's here and she would like to say da-da-da, but it's not just about the message, it's about the proof. Like there has to be evidence that you can back up. Not like, well, if I go home I can ask my aunt who might know. Nope, they will only give messages that you would understand in a way that you would understand them. So it all depends on the message in the moment and what my guides are feeling like doing that day. Sometimes they surprise, don't they? My guides like to surprise me. They think it's funny. Yeah. So there you go. So when we do the mediumship, when I start moving into readings, you'll kind of see how that flows. It all depends on the message and the person and my guide's attitude. What other questions? Yes.
Do you feel it's something that runs in the family, or?
Oh yeah, looking at my mom, heck yeah. My mom's had predictive dreams her entire life. My brothers have had predictive dreams. I don't get predictive dreams. I get okay, we're gonna break your day down and show you where you screwed up dreams. That's what the dreams I get. But they have predictive dreams. There are times that my brothers would call me and be like, hey, what are you doing right now? Like, and they were like, I just had this weird feeling, or something good would happen and be like, shouldn't you have been calling me? Like, I feel like something's good happening. Like, they would just know. So it does, that intuition runs in the family, but I'm the first person in the family that's kind of taken that step to development. So, and realistically, like, we all have connection to spirit. That's the cool thing, is you don't have to be a medium necessarily. You can connect to your spirit guides. You can do all the things that I'm doing. It does take work. Some people are born with this insane gift. They can see and know things. I'm glad I didn't, because I feel like I wouldn't have learned the lessons that I've learned, and I feel like as an adult, I could handle it. But I don't know that I would have done as well as a kid with it. Yes.
I can read timelines.
Ooh,
Like
cool.
somebody can tell me a story about themselves, say me and my boyfriend and my mom, and I can tell them exactly what they need to do to fix that.
That's cool.
And they've done it, and I've had people do it, and even come back and thank me. Oh my God, you tell me so much. And then, but what do you call that? Because I'm like, nobody's guides are coming to me saying, hey, tell my granddaughter this, or But it's just so like I can really do it. And sometimes I've even had friends like not talk to me for 3 months and then come back and say, oh, thank God, because by you not talking to me, I realized that that's what I should have done. And it's like, oh my God, I read timelines. But I didn't, so I just say, I read timelines.
No, that's a great way to put
I
it.
need to call it something, because when I say out here in Richmond, I can read timelines. They're like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
What timelines do you read?
So how my brain classifies that is there's a number of different forms of what you could call all these different connections you make.
Right.
If I were to break it down to mediumship versus psychic energy, I would say very much a psychic gift, because you are connecting to that person to person.
Yes.
Mediumship, like I got nothing, I'm not even connected to you. I've got this person here that's talking to my guides, and I'm just relaying the message. So now if you feel like you're
feel
hearing
like tingling
things,
my ears.
Yep.
I feel like right now we're talking. It's like
yeah, I brought a lot of big energy.
Or I'll go somewhere before 222, like confirmation.
Yep.
And I don't know. I called it life coaching.
Yeah.
But I don't really know. It's more of an intuition, or a psychic ability, and not like a mediumship.
Correct, unless you are connecting. If you can identify where it's coming from, it could be mediumship. If you have a connection to your guides and you're saying, all right, so what's up? And you have a way, and you know how to speak to your guides, you know their language. Like,
well, I do say like, it's not like a person. I just call it my higher self. So my higher self will give me this download.
Yes.
And I'm like, this is perfect, and I'll do it myself, and it turns out to be wonderful.
right.
And then sometimes when my ego gets in the way, I'll say, shut up, Judy. I name it like it's a different, so it'll be a different person, because when I do that, it's not me. It's almost like me telling this person to be quiet. You're in my way. I'm trying to write a book.
Right,
Because you're trying to do something that normally wouldn't be done, and they're saying, well, you can't do that. And I'm like, shut up, Judy.
Didn't ask your opinion.
So it's just a psychic ability.
So now, I mean, if you are connecting to someone on the other side, now if you feel like it's your higher self, that's different, and that's something that Sally and I can talk about a little bit too. When we do multidimensional hypnosis, like it's my higher self. So when I do mediumship, it comes in from different ways. Yeah, it's a whole different, literally, energy. But when I'm connecting to someone's higher self, like or like psychic or the multidimensional, it's like my forehead. I always call it my genie, because it feels like there's a genie that pops out of my forehead and can connect to your forehead, and whether you're in the room or not.
That's what Sally does, right? Do you do the connecting the higher self? Okay.
Yep. And she's pretty much taught me how to connect that way, and that's what the work we do.
I can do that. Like I can do it with every person I meet. It's just not every person I meet. I tell them that because they're not ready to hear it.
Sometimes it's just too much to say.
Yes. Yeah.
And so you
And
could
I've
stick with your
learned to
timelines. You'd be
stop
like,
saying
I read timelines. And if they care to ask, then you can say, it is still a form of mediumship when you're working through your guides to get information.
Right.
Yeah, if you're just directly like connecting, like if I'm going to read you to you, that's more of a psychic connection, where if you've got information coming in from other places, so Judy,
Yeah.
then
Well,
that is a
I've done it
form
to
of
my mom
mediumship.
before, and then she'll be like, how did you know that? I'm like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
Judy.
It just came. Yeah.
Judy.
She almost watched me do it, and I was like, I don't even know where that came from.
So now when that happens, like you were saying that now that you're sitting here, like you feel like all tingly, you feel the energy. So that's a big sign that you're getting messages from
Oh, yeah, I'm getting
Spirit.
messages. I feel guided
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, so that is a form of mediumship, being able to get. Again, I didn't even know what that meant. I thought you
Like,
had to
that's
see
what
the
I'm
dead
saying.
people.
What should I call it? Because it's not, I'm not I don't feel like I'm connecting. What triggered the question is when you said, when you decided to be a psychic, you thought it was like you were going to see an angel or you were going to see something. When you didn't see anything, you were like, what is this?
Right.
So I don't see anything. It's just, and I don't hear anything. It's just like it comes out and I get ding, 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 ding. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I assume that's what it sounds like. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
And it just
and-
comes out and I'm like,
Oh, well, that just came. How many times have I done that? Where I'm like, that didn't come.
It's all about perception.
Yeah.
So what do you perceive it to be? So there was a
Yes.
conversation that she and I had. I said, yeah, but you're already doing it. She goes, no, I'm not. I'm like, yeah,
I'm the queen
you
of denial
are.
over here.
And I said, how does it look? So when we do our QHHT sessions, we'll probably not be able to connect or get somebody into a deep theta state. Maybe 70% of the time. There's a 30% attrition rate, and that's because people come in with, where's the popcorn, where's the Coke, I'm gonna watch a movie in my past lives. And that's not the way it comes in. And so then it all comes down to what is your perception. So if you can identify what your perception is, just like Suzette, she told me an amazing story and then doubted herself. You wanna tell them about your miracle healing or no?
yeah, that's fine. My mom had to go to the hospital yesterday because they had 2 blockages and she was gonna get stents. Well, before she went in, she was in the chair and I did the angel healing, did the Reiki, had her hold the rose quartz and did a pendulum and I said, is my mom gonna be okay? And they said, yeah, and the doctor came out and said she didn't need the stents because her heart healed itself.
Wow.
And oh my God, I'm just like, what? And my aunt's sitting there and we're going, your heart? What?
So
and I
what-
said, is that a miracle? And the doctor said, yeah. Didn't say anything for a minute and said, yeah. I
Okay,
guess
so
that's
that goes to the power of intention, and we are all powerful beings. It's not like, Suzette's got special juju, or she does, or I do. Everybody in this room has the special juju, and it all comes down to intention. And that sort of kicked off with us. That's my husband back there. We watched a Greg Braden video, and he did a video where he was showing a patient in China who had a tumor in the bladder, and they had an ultrasound right here in a split screen. So they took a picture of the bladder, the cancer, the big tumor, and they froze it. And then the monks stood around and through the power of intention shrunk that to nothing in 3 minutes. So that goes down to the power of intention. So the other day, and so because she's connected, her mom is like her world, she had the thought which matched the feeling which created the manifestation. So when somebody comes to me and they say, I don't manifest, and we're like, oh no, you manifest. And we've had arguments with our clients, and they're like, they're arguing with us. No, I'm not a manifestor because my life is a wreck. Well,
you're manifesting the
that's
wreck.
what you're manifesting.
You're manifesting the wreck.
Right. So it all comes down identifying, first of all, what is your expectation? What do you think is a psychic medium? I mean, is it Whoopi Goldberg, a ghost? Is it? Or, where she's seeing, or, shooing the ghost away, or, what is it? Or is it, can she see, can she hear, does she just know? And you don't know how it's going to come through. Just like when we're doing QHHT and working with each individual client, some people are very visual, they can see their past lives. Other people just get a knowing. I just feel like I was there. Some people come up and like, oh, that wasn't really anything. And then they'll have a healing a week later. And that happened to me when I had a lady argue with me about her allergies. So she came into me, I felt intuitively, oh, she's got milk allergies. Her legs were purple and swollen. And she couldn't lay down and rest. And she's itching. So it was really hard to get her into a deep theta state. And so her expectation Well, she was going to see this visual thing, this movie play out that was going to be a part of her past life. And so she would argue with me the whole thing. She was like, you know, this isn't working. I said, well, just play with the imagination and allow the imagination to give you a story. So we did that. And so it gave a story. It turns out that she was nursing somebody, nursing an old man who was about ready to die, who was very cranky, and she tried to hand him milk, and he slung it back at her, and it just went all over her. Well, she goes, well, why do I feel like I'm not the caretaker? She was the man. And so when she came back, she was a female who was a caretaker of other people. That's what she did for a living. So as a man in the turn of the century in New York, she rejected that healing, and milk was what was being handed, and that impression stayed in the energetic field. So she had a doctor tell her, an allergist, I don't have milk allergies, because her body wasn't reacting, but it was caught in the spirit complex, so the mind-body-spirit complex that we all are. And so the spirit complex is where that energy was held. And so I said, just imagine it being okay. What did you learn from the experience? Well, to be kind and all this, and not be sassy, brassy, and hateful to people. And so she was like, oh, okay. So she sort of let that go. She got up. She goes, well, thank you very much. You're a nice person. This didn't help. I'm still itching. I'm like, I'm sorry, give it a week, see what happens. And I didn't expect to hear from her again because she was just really disappointed. Again, it was her expectation. And so she called me a week later. Her legs had returned to normal. Yeah. And so again, it just goes down. I didn't mean to take your spot, but it's just like, it's what is your expectation? Identify what the expectation is and say, okay, is there more to it? Ask the question. Ask it like you're talking to a computer. So when you Google like dog and you type in FOX, you're not going to get a dog showing up on the screen. You have to think literally. It's the universal language. Get very literal, ask one question at a time, and then feel your body. It's not that you're not sensing it. You're all sensing it. I don't know if you've ever gone to a place where, oh, that doesn't feel right, and your body draws up and feels tight. That's telling you no. And if you feel like, woohoo, yeah, light, that's a yes. So always ask your question, because your subconscious mind will never lie to you. So when you begin to drill down and ask those questions, maybe write it out. What are your questions? What are your expectations? Start identifying what they are and peel them away. Because like with Lorinda, for me, or with this lady, it didn't come through as a visual. It came through as my imagination's telling me a story. Go with it and see where it takes you. And then feel your body. Does it feel light? Does it feel tight? So that, I don't know if that helps with the intention thing, sorry.
Yeah, I just didn't, the miracle was fine, but I wasn't gonna accept that I didn't do it.
But you
See what I'm
did.
saying?
I would argue that you were the conduit for that
Right,
channel
I was a
healing.
channel to it, but
The
I'm not,
conduit.
you know.
But if you hadn't done that,
Right.
you would have been in a very different situation today.
But as soon as she told me, let's go to the hospital and do this, I automatically knew that moment everything was gonna be fine. I don't know how, I just intuitively knew. And then, but when they came out and said, oh, it's fine, she don't even need it, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna be that good, which is, thank you, but, yeah.
So this is what I tell people. Yeah, lower the bar of expectation. Don't try to label it. Don't try to guess where it's coming from. Don't overanalyze it.
Yeah.
When you get that inkling of it, just like if you have a child that you know, those of you who are moms, it gets unusually quiet. You're like, something is happening on the other side of the house right now. I need to go investigate. Do you think that's just some magic weird thing that happens in your brain that's chemical? You're somehow connected? No, that spirit guy's going, your child's going to burn down your house in 5 seconds. So like so to like go find. And it's not even a matter of, again, knowing where it comes from, what you call it. It doesn't matter as long as you're listening to it. And I think that's the biggest takeaway I can say, whether it's mediumship, learning tarot, Energy work is like trusting what you're hearing or seeing or feeling. Sometimes you just kind of know. Like you don't see, hear, or feel anything, you just know. And it's trusting that, because those are, whether you believe in the spirit world, spirit guides, or if it's your subconscious, whatever, oversoul, God, it doesn't matter what you label it, you trust it. That is how it develops. And that, it doesn't even matter what you call it.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer?
You better start taking some spirit chat.
I know. So let me give a little bit of breakdown on how, like, these are called platform readings. So what that means is I as a medium will get messages, right? And I may come to you, or I may ask, who claims this, whatever. And again, it's going to be, it's private. It's still kept very, very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Private's good.
Private. Yeah. Discreet.
Yeah.
Discreet. There's no airing your dirty laundry or anything like that. And what I always challenge people to do is to not set an expectation. Don't expect to hear something like, well, if it's really my grandma, she's going to call me by my nickname. And then so you may not hear the most beautiful message from your uncle that you could have ever received, because you were like, well, if this is real, it'll be my grandma. My grandmother didn't come through since the day she died until 2 weeks ago. And she came through me, of all people, like through me. It wasn't even like through another medium. And I'm like, it was crazy. It was crazy. So be open to the delivery of the message. Sometimes it's your guides. Sometimes it's your loved ones. Sometimes it's just my guides saying, hey, this is happening, da, 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 da. All this is to prove the continuity of life. So when you walk out of here, you're not, I'm not some, like, I like to call it the dog and pony show. Okay, a lot of people will show up and they'll want to see all the magic tricks. But you have to be open to the message, meaning listen. And also, the other important thing, and I do a lot of live readings on TikTok, by the way, you're on TikTok. Well, you aren't, just your voices. I will tell people, if I'm doing a reading for you, or I'm doing a reading for someone, and it resonates with you, it's probably for you as well. So take the message. And so I'll tell people in those live chats, I'll be like, all right, say postcard, give me a little, hey, that resonates, if that resonates with you as well as the person. But by the time I hone in on the person, I know it's for them. Okay? So, all right. Sally, do you have anything else to add before I
No, I think you're doing great.
jump in?
Go for it.
Okay. Okay, so Spirit is impressing me with, I've seen this image before. I'm seeing like an old cross. It's just like an old giant cross. And there's vines that are so deeply rooted. They're wrapping up. So it tells me whoever this is stepping in right now is very deeply rooted in religion. Deeply rooted in religion. And I feel like this is a grandmother energy who's coming through. She's saying like Southern Baptist. Like she's like hardcore Jesus. Like she almost has an accent. Can anyone take this? Okay, we'll get more information. She's also showing she's bringing up an orange tree. There's something to do with an orange tree or some sort of tree. Like I feel like there was a tree either placed by her, like by her grave on purpose or by her on purpose. Or there's something, a tree planted in her honor that bears fruit or bears something. And I feel like it was meant to honor her, but also to continue bringing life forward in a way that she could still do that. I'm hearing a C name like Catherine or Claire. Like she's giving me, I don't know if this is her name or if it's one of your guys' names. I'm going to ask, if you guys can't take this, I'm going to ask who they're supposed to go to. Because it could be very much a spirit guide message. And also, I get spirit knows. Whenever they step in, I'm like, oh, God, stop. Pick something else. Something else. Honestly, I feel really drawn to you. This is it. So this grandmother energy, she makes me feel like she was she's very deeply rooted in her belief system, and she also was very big on life, giving life, bringing life forward. She really goes back to this oranges and how the citrus gives vitamin C and gives life, and I feel like what she's saying, she's acknowledging something that you are doing. I feel like she's showing me there's a similarity between the two of you in the fact that you were raised in a very hardcore belief system, and that as you've gotten older, you started questioning things, not because you want to be defiant, but because you want to make sure what you're doing is right and right by people. Does this make sense to you?
A little bit.
Okay, so she is trying to figure out the symbols that she's showing me.
Is she a great grandmother?
She's this grandmother energy, which means she could be someone that was like a grandmother. It could be, she's not. She's just saying Catherine or Claire. There's some sort of sea energy with her that she's drawn to, and that could be someone that's around you. And I know it's a very generic name, so take that with a grain of salt, but it might click later. But I feel like she's really pointing to, you've got to cut open the orange. You have to see what's actually inside. Don't be afraid to cut it open. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be afraid to give yourself life, because there's so much more. She makes me feel like she was so deeply rooted, she was closed-minded. And she really likes the fact that you question. She makes me feel like you're a bit of a rebel. Is this true? Yeah, okay. Also, but she makes me feel like she loves this energy from you. And she wants you to continue, because I feel like sometimes you look at the orange and you're like, but it's so pretty. Do I really want to ask? Do I really want to see what's inside? Am I disrespecting the orange? Am I disrespecting this life? Am I disrespecting something by not taking it further and investigating? And she wants you to ask the questions. And I also feel like she's very specifically talking about something that's going on in your life right now. She wants you to break open the orange and look at the question, ask the hard questions, and she wants you to know that you're onto something. You're honest, and there's an intuition that there's something not right around you, something that you're like, I know this is happening. And she's saying, you are on the right track. Don't be afraid to cut open that orange and ask the questions. So blessings to you from this grandmother energy. They don't always identify themselves. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. It could be someone, if it is a great grandmother that you didn't know, or like, then they don't bother identifying themselves necessarily, because it doesn't matter who they were. It's just that energy. But they want to deliver the message. So that's how platform readings work, by the way. What questions do you have? Does that make sense to you at all? You kind of have a puzzled look on your face.
It does and it doesn't.
Okay. Take the does. And then the doesn't will fit in later. It'll make sense. And sometimes, keep in mind, my spirit guides will show me symbols that mean something to me, but it's actually the word that I'm supposed to say that makes sense to you. So I might be seeing this image of something that means a whole thing to me. It could be very literal to you, like, yeah, I have an orange tree. It could be your spirit guide acknowledging the fact you have an orange tree, or you were just at the grocery and got oranges. It could be that simple, where I'm reading way more into it. She was pretty insistent, though. She really wants you to follow your intuition on something, on a situation, and don't be afraid to ask the hard questions. And there's also seeds inside the orange, and she's like, there's things in there that you're going to be able to plant for later. Don't be afraid of that knowledge, because it will help someone later to grow into something amazing. That was her final message. So blessings to you from this grandmother energy. Yeah, you're welcome. So that's a demonstration of how platform messages work without like being all up in your business. So let's see, who else is, I've got another big energy coming in. I feel like there's a very large man. He's got the Harley shirt vibe, big, and he's about here, and he's just like, hi. He's very big energy, and I feel like he has stepped forward. He feels more like a father energy. He's in the way that he's very protective. And I say Harley. I'm a Harley rider, so like he just fits like a look to me, and I feel like this man is like giant teddy bear. He looks terrifying if you don't know anything about him, because I think if you messed with him, he'd be like, mm-hmm. And he's giving me a J name, like a J, John, J. It's a J name. Does anybody resonate with this? Big Harley dude, J name, father figure. Could be liking father, stepfather. Anyone? All right, we'll keep getting more information because he's a big, big energy. He makes me feel like he's pointing me to like July, August birthday, because I feel like he's very much a big Leo energy, which is why he stepped in. I'm also a Leo energy, and I feel like he has stepped in. He's talking about his birthday. Whoever this is has a birthday coming up. Anyone? I love the blank faces. I feel like one of you is like, it could be someone I know, but I'm afraid to say anything. Don't be afraid to say anything. But I feel like whoever this is, you have a plan. You are planning to go to his grave or to go celebrate him somehow for his birthday that's coming up. Like I said, July, August, he almost makes me feel like it's like the end of July, but he likes to celebrate all of July and all of August. Like he's that big jovial guy. He loved his bike. He's talking about his bike. And he makes me feel like it was an old. He showed me like an old. My bike has a vintage vibe to it, and I feel like he's showing me my bike, so I'm saying vintage. So either his bike was teal or it was a vintage look, like 1950s, 1960s look. Anyone resonating with that? Wow, I'm like bat zero today. He's showing me like something you guys did at Christmas. Somebody did something for him at Christmas. I feel like he's been gone. He hasn't been gone a super long time, but I feel like he's been gone long enough that this might. It marks some sort of anniversary of his passing, and like he's showing me Christmas. So I don't know if he passed at Christmas or if there was some sort of celebration for him specifically. He's pointing out at Christmas. And he's drawing my eye to a very like blue foil present. He's being very specific. And I mean, this could be something that maybe a last gift that he gave you. He's really honing in on this present.
Are you sure it's somebody for this room or is he?
Yeah, I mean, Spirit wouldn't like just give me anybody random like out in line or anything.
Okay.
I don't think anybody on here would be. I told him I wasn't going to be reading on here. Of course I can't. Oh, someone in the TikTok is claiming it. Oops. Hang on, let's see what they have to say. I know a big man, not tall, that died on the 4th of July motorcycle accident. Okay. All right. I know, right? I do readings on there all the time. So this, but can you feel it? Like, can you feel that energy? Is that what you're saying? We're saying, like, he's big. He's a very large dude. He's like, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, they come through TikTok all the time. I could be in my house by myself, but it's everywhere. We're all connected. We're all connected. So anyway, this person is acknowledging, if this is for you, Christy, then yeah, 3 to 4 years ago. Makes sense. I gotta put my glasses on. This whole old thing is really,
It doesn't get any
I know. I know.
Don't claim it.
A magic eyeglass. Yeah.
If he wasn't big in stature, he was very big in energy. Like he walked into the room and he commanded the room. That's the energy I'm getting.
What's his name?
That's what
It was a J name. J name. It was a J, Jason, J, John.
I didn't know
A J.
TikTok says.
Oh, nope, they didn't say.
G is close.
It could be G.
Yeah, it could be because it's the good sound. Wow. Yeah, but he doesn't. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
But maybe over there he's riding a bike.
no, this person had a bike. So the overall message is, I feel like he was an organ donor. That's the gift. He was an organ donor. Christy, was he an organ donor? His name was Mike. That's my stepdad's name, which would be the father energy. And we called him Ricky. Real name James. Oh, we got a couple people claiming this energy. So remember when I said sometimes I can do a reading for someone and then it can apply to multiple people, but still be super specific to that person. So I feel like there was an organ donor situation, which is the gift. I feel like that was the gift. It was that he saved someone, and I feel like that's very specific. But his basic message is that he's around. He's also around this person, whoever he donated these organs to. So hopefully that made sense. He was 57. Yep, he was. Okay. And James. Well, now you know how it works on TikTok. So blessings to you from this fatherly energy that's around you. Died of lung cancer. Okay, this is crazy because she's describing my step-grandfather like to a T. That crazy, like down to how he died. And that's the energy I was feeling. And so remember when Dr. Mike used to come in at first, that's my spirit guide's name, he'd be here over behind me because Mike was a protective figure to me. So interesting. So that's how mediumship works in a public setting. Again, keeps it private, gives some good details, enough that I can't see your business. I don't want to see your business. I got enough of my own business that I don't need yours too. Okay, so there you go. That was a beautiful message from the grandfatherly energy. Father energy, protector. He was a protector. That's what he was going for. Okay, so let's see if we move into somebody else. I'm being drawn to talk to you. Is that okay? Do you mind if I talk with you?
Not at all.
I feel, okay, so when I see this image, I think of like the cool, crazy aunt that has all the makeup, that doesn't care anything what anybody thinks, and she talks like this when she walks into a room. I had an aunt like that. Her name was Cora. So I'm either supposed to say crazy aunt with a lot of makeup, big personality aunt, or Cora as a really big, important key name around you. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so again, batting zero. You people, keep your energy to yourself. I don't think it's them though. This is a big aunt energy. She was my great aunt, but I still knew her. Like I was the only one that really talked to her at get-togethers. This aunt energy, and it may not be an aunt, it could be again this, just someone I relate to as being this big energy. So think in terms of the big energy that would be someone on the other side. She's definitely on the other side because she has stepped in very close. And she talks so fast and like she has so much energy that you can see like my body language is changing because she's like in my business. And I feel like she goes and she went. She was a very, very busy lady. Does this resonate with you? It may not be an aunt, but I'm describing like what my aunt was like.
Okay.
And so this is someone, and she feels maternal. She's on the maternal side. Okay. She's like, which tells me obviously she's not your aunt, but like feminine energy, mother's side. And I feel like there's some sort of energy of like she wasn't afraid to dance in the kitchen. Like if she saw you were down, she was jumping in, she was doing the dance party. I just feel like she was like that person that was the fun energy in the room. And I feel like whoever the spirit is, she's coming to you because she is saying, she's acknowledging that there's been a downswing. And she wants you to dance your way out of it. She wants you to find that high vibration. She wants you to understand that just because it's going down doesn't mean it's not going to come back up. She almost makes you feel like you're standing at, it's like you're standing at the edge of a cliff and you see the down and you see the up over there, you know, it comes back up and you're like, do I jump in? Do I deep dive this? Do I avoid it? How do I navigate this? And she's like, go get a board and get a board. You don't have to go down to deal with something. You don't have to go down that gulch to deal with something. Gulch. I've never actually used that word in a sentence. Gulch. What was the witch? What's the witch from?
Glenda.
Gulch. No, that was Glenda the Good Witch. Who was? Okay, what was her name? Gulch. In Wicked, the musical that was played off of Wizard of Oz, it was Elphaba. But I feel like Glenda is a big word, so if that name resonates with you, or I doubt Elphaba does, but, or Green Lady, I don't know. But Gulch is it might be Glenda, I guess it might be Glenda Gulch. I don't know. But anyway, she is referring to this and she's saying you can create a bridge, you can still have a higher perspective over this situation, and she wants you to step above this situation and not get yourself in it. Does that make sense to you?
With some things, yeah.
Okay. No, she's being very specific. Like she's saying this is a very specific situation. Like you are standing at the cliff and you have a choice to go down that hill. And yeah, you'd come out on the other side okay, eventually. Or you can just bypass it all, see it from a higher perspective and not get yourself involved in that energy. She wants you to raise your energy high enough above a situation that you can see it for what it is. She wants you to see the truth in a situation and avoid it. And be like, ooh, sucks to be you down there. Yeah, that's how this person's energy, and she's saying embrace this energy, whether she's your aunt or not is irrelevant. It could be a guide, I don't know. But the energy is just insane. It's just insane, like embrace that energy. Don't allow yourself to get down there, because, lesson for the class, when your vibes are down, have you ever noticed when you're going through some really crappy stuff, all of a sudden these people come out of the woodwork, like you went to high school with, or you like went to, you knew back in the old days, and they're just like miserable people, and they show up, and you're like, and they're like, oh my God, you've been on my mind. Oh, I've got 3 people. One of them specifically will message me and go, hey. I'm like, we're 50. We don't say that. But I know if she pops up and she's thinking about me, I need to do a vibe check. I need to check my vibe, because if she can see me, nope, my vibe is too low. I need to get up in a higher vibe, because you're aligning yourself with people in that vibration. Right. And so if you start seeing those people come into your life, you're like, miserable people, nonstop. It's one thing if they come because you're a helper and you're a beacon, right? It's another just regular, oh, we must be going through the same thing. Me too. I've been da-da-da-da. And like you go down that rabbit hole together. And she's saying, don't. Keep it up here, because there's nothing good down there. You can go if you want, but she's saying avoid that. So, blessings to you from this really cool energy lady who I feel like she smoked a lot. She's like, I don't know, I didn't ask. But she seemed to live a really long time. She has a lot of good energy going on. And again, it could just be a guide. I mean, it just could be a guide with you that's just delivering a message. So blessings to you from this person, and stay out of the gulch. You're welcome. Okay. I don't think we have anybody in there taking it. Or if they did, they bailed. How are we doing on time? Oh yeah, 5 minutes left. feel like I've got a couple spirits stepping in trying to like argue over who's going to be next. So I'm getting like a couple different references. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to go with that makes the most sense, because sometimes they're very obscure. Okay, this is very insistent. So this is how my guides work sometimes. Like, they'll just give me these random symbols. So I'm seeing the color blue. It's very significant in this, whatever's happening. And it's swirling. There's a swirling blue. And I see marbles. And I feel like marbles are a literal reference to something that was just said. Like, things are spinning out of control and I'm losing my marbles. Have any of you said that in the last 24 to 48 hours? Because I feel like there's some reference to something spinning out of control and just losing the marbles. But I'm also getting reference to the cat eye reference. So I'm led to say cat, something to do with a cat's eye. Okay, who's this for? So it feels like, do you mind if I talk to you? This is coming to you. Okay. So I feel like they're showing me all these marbles. It feels chaotic. But it's controlled chaos, if that makes sense. Like this is a constant swirling. So I feel like there's just a controlled chaos in your life. But there's some sort of sense of controlled chaos, and these marbles, these little representations of different things going on in your life are like swirling around, but they're never hitting each other. And I feel like Spirit's acknowledging that you, while you've got all these marbles going on, you're not losing them. They're there. Okay, what does that mean? So they're showing me like a spirit coming up right through the middle of it. I'm telling you, my guides give me the weirdest things sometimes. Have you been talking a lot out loud, first of all? I know we do that a lot, but I feel like you've been talking a lot out loud. And you're like, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to manage this. It feels like craziness, and I feel like I'm losing it. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. Okay. So what they're challenging, this is the spirit guide energy, because they're feeling that chaos as well. And they're like, just know that you have a lot more control than you think. You have a lot more control. Right now, I feel like you're like, putting a lot of the chaos energy into it, and they very much like her, like they want you to like rise up out of it, step aside and kind of look at things for what they are and focus on one thing at a time. They're honing on each marble, each little thing. They're showing me each design being very unique and very different, where it can easily become like, I just have a bunch of marbles that are nondescript. But they want you to identify each of the things that are going on in your life and understand how you can grasp each one and keep the energy flowing. I feel like there's a sense of constant turning, and I can't even describe like in good words how, but there's also this mist of like cloudiness, like you're just not quite sure where to go with it, and they want you to kind of, again, rise above the situation and try to look at things one thing at a time. Right now you're very, it's like you're standing here, you see all these things happening, you're like, I don't know what to address first, so I'm not going to address any of it. And they're saying, clear the mist a little bit and choose one thing at a time. They're just acknowledging the chaos and the overwhelm, the sense of overwhelm, and they want you to choose one thing at a time, one marble, one thing, analyze it, look at it, understand how it works, where it is in your life, and what you need to do next. Okay, and then put it back on track, and then go to the next thing, and fix one thing at a time. What they're basically saying is compartmentalize a little bit better, as opposed to, okay. And this, I feel like this is coming from your joy guide, and also do something joyful, because that swirling energy was very playful feeling. The marbles are playful. And I feel like you get so focused on what each thing means. You get so focused on everything that you're not going, this is a fun, cool game. This is a fun game. And I feel like they just really want you to have more fun. And ask your joy guide. We all have a joy guide. Ask your joy guide to sit with you and help raise your vibration so you can enjoy life a little bit more. Because I feel like you're not enjoying life as much as like what you would like. Yeah? So enjoy life a little bit more. Play with the marbles. And figure out where each one fits in your life. So blessings to you from your joy guide. You're welcome. So that is how mediumship in a public forum works. See what I mean about the whole, we still are discreet. We can't really like give all your life details. Well, we could, but I don't want to know them. Yeah. So what questions do you have? Yes.
Can you, if someone comes to you and wants to talk to a certain person, can you connect with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's my job, and know this, whether it's me or any other medium, it's their job to bring the evidence. Because I could say all day long, oh yeah, I got your grandma here. She loves you. She liked to cook. What grandma doesn't? You know? So it's my job, right?
She never cooked. She ordered it.
Oh, there you go. So you'd be super confused by that one.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, I was
so you want to make sure that they're bringing forth evidence to give, and sometimes it's those weird random little things that, again, may not make sense to me, but you're like, what? Okay, that makes sense.
Are you going to be working out of here?
I'll be doing readings later today from 2:30 to 4:30, but I live in Westfield, Indiana.
Oh, okay.
So I do everything online.
Oh, you do everything online?
Yeah, so I do readings online on Zoom. I've got clients all over the world. Like
Now
literally.
the TikTok like you're doing today, those are free?
Yeah,
Well,
TikTok
they're
readings,
not
yeah.
real personal, one-on-one long readings.
Correct.
Full
Correct.
readings.
Now sometimes I'll go in on TikTok. It's kind of a cool thing. I'll go in with other mediums and we'll do readings for people in the group, and or like viewers. And it's cool when you've got like 3 mediums in a room, and the amount of stuff that can come through, it's insane. The amount of evidence that comes through is insane. But we'll do longer readings like that. But again, it's more proving the continuity of life, and it's still being discreet and not putting everybody's stuff out there. But that, I could have 400 people in a room at once. So I might hone in on one and give a reading or two. Or I'll do like tarot readings. I'll go live like once a week, once every 2 weeks, and I'll just do live tarot readings. And it's just all spirit led. I'll be like, okay, I'm supposed to talk to so and so, and then here's your message. But it's more just intuitive than it is like me plugging into mediumship. Unless I get an assistant spirit, then I'm like, and your grandma said da 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 da.
So you will do over the phone?
Mm-hmm. Over the phone, I do Zoom. Zoom is great because you can record it, and I send the recordings. Yeah.
I have a question.
And then yes.
So with you, is it possible, because I'm sensing that big energy, like she's just like she's still here.
I know, she's a big energy.
I feel like though she's not related per se. It almost feels like a friend of the family that would come across that way. Somebody you felt close to. But I see you much younger. Okay. I see you kind of shrinking to where you're like a child. It's why it's so confusing. But yeah, big, loud, happy person.
I just got goosebumps, but you know.
Yeah. So it's like an aunt energy. That's why I always say because I
So
think
don't focus. Oh, I have an aunt.
yes.
You know, and they're okay. Where's that aunt?
Who is she? Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like you're gonna find it.
It'll come to you.
It's like you're driving. It's like, oh, that's how I feel it coming in. She's like right on you. It's like
It'll
I know.
come.
I
Yeah.
know. She'll know. So I just want to know. That woman is so big. I'm feeling it, and it's like right at you.
See, every time you say that, I get goosebumps.
So here's a funny story. Before I did any of this work, I had gotten a reading once, and I was super pregnant. My grandfather had just passed, and the lady kept saying, June, what's the June reference? I'm like, oh, the baby's due in June. She's like, oh, no, you're having him in May. Blonde hair, blue eyes, really cute. No. And I'm like, okay. She just glossed right over that part. And she kept going, talking and talking and talking. And then she goes, there's a grandfather energy. And I'm like, okay, all right. But it didn't occur to me until after that my last name used to be June, and that was the last name of the grandfather that was coming through. They called it psychic amnesia. And so sometimes those things will come through later, and you're like, oh, duh, I could have done that. But it'll come through in the right time. And it could have just been, sometimes those energies come through in a form of someone you might know. It sounds so shady, I know. It's so non-specific. Yes?
Yeah, this is probably going to be a silly question, but if you have an object that belonged to someone that had passed over, is there any way that there might be any energy connected to that would maybe
Yeah.
bring the
Now,
person forward?
I do not do psychometry. Yeah, I don't do that. And I was actually thinking, it's funny you asked that question, because funny enough, I was thinking about that on the way here, thinking about the different players and how we all have different perceptions of things. And I am not that person that can go in and be like, so-and-so sat here in 1922. No, I might look at the object and go, oh, and like come to my own conclusions about what that person would be like based on the object you gave me. But no, I don't like tune into energy that way. That's not one of my clairs.
That's fine.
Yeah. Now I can walk into a room, like if two people have been fighting and then they're not fighting anymore, I can walk into a room and feel that. Feel that kind of energy, but actually touching things, it's not my gift.
All right.
Just like I don't see the dead people, although I did a reading yesterday and I kept thinking I was seeing them coming out of the corner, and then like in my mind's eye, I saw on the screen, I was doing a Zoom reading, and I saw like the orbs kept showing up on the screens, and I'm like, somebody's here, and I saw like this light come like right by me, and then in my mind's eye, I saw him sit in the chair. But it was like just that moment, I was like, oh, I saw a dead person. But it was like that, and I didn't actually see him. So they can come, those things can come, but I don't think I want to. I think the thing is, I get so overwhelmed anyway that I don't know if I want to be able to walk into a room and feel things. I have boundaries, you know? So I'm like, no, I don't think I want to feel your stuff. No. Some people can. Some people can hold something and like, they get flashes of things. It's not what I do, but it can be done. It can be done. Any other questions? Before we take a break, and then after this, we're talking about MDH, right? Am I right? The multidimensional.
Channeling.
Oh yeah, it's me channeling. Oh yeah, I gotta get in my zone. Okay.
Yeah, you need to get into your zone so you can channel.
Okay.
With Q&A.
With Q&A. Excellent. Okay. So we're gonna take a break. I'm gonna have everybody kind of clear the room, actually, so I can get in my zone. Give us about what, 15 minutes? 15 minutes, and then we'll get back started if you guys want to stay for some channeling.
And then after that is multidimensional.
Then it's multidimensional. Hello. Hey, friends. Just doing a little chit chat up here in Richmond, Indiana, or out here.
So I need to charge. You got the other charger for that?
All right, have you guys been learning anything on here? Anything good? Hi, Kimmy. All right, I'm going to be working on some channeling here, so I'm going to drop this down. I haven't done it in public yet, so we'll see how it goes. It could totally fail, or it might work. Oops, boob shot, sorry.
Ask her about what she was saying earlier. But I do want to set up a Zoom.
Okay. Oh, yeah, let me give you my card.
Yeah, she has it.
Oh, she's got it? Cool. Okay, yeah, just give me a call. And if you text me, call me, that's my cell phone. And then we can set up, I probably won't remember that conversation. Just because when I do mediumship, it kind of flows through. And they're all super discreet, so it's not like they get like super specific. It's just specific enough that it should make sense somehow. So hopefully after you go home and kind of let it settle, it'll take you like that whole thing.
I just only want to ask you.
The C, was it a last name or a first name?
I don't know. They didn't say it. They say C name. C name. So it's like it's like a so it sound like a hard like Kate Kathleen something.
But
early.
female name.
That's what kept coming up to me was female. Yes. Yeah.
Because I'm having a lot of issues. Yeah.
Okay. So it'd be interesting to kind of explore who that was or what they were. They could
Well,
bring someone around you specifically.
My grandmother raised me. The religion aspect came not from her, but I was raised outside Pentecost. So
That's
about
pretty
14
deeply rooted religion.
and went out of it due to they were kind of judgmental, in my opinion. So I left that.
Gotcha. So that makes
I
sense.
have goosebumps.
Yeah. So that was probably her coming
But
through.
the C word could either be a last.
Your heart is hurting.
Oh, ha ha ha.
We can heal that. We can. I do it makes steps.
That's why I came.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see what we can do for you. Are you able to stay for a little while then?
I have to go, but
Okay, you've got our
You
cards.
know what? Can you have just 3 moments and I'll sit down with you?
yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get in my
But
My zone here.
You get your zone. We'll go over there in the corner.
two. Plug this in.
I wish you could stay.
Alright, I'm gonna give you a little demonstration, and I feel called to do this, and I don't worry about paying me or anything. I feel like whoever's ever in this room, you came for healing, and that's what I wanna offer you, if that's okay. And then if it works, will you let me know, text me and whatnot? It can be rather intense, so. Let's go over there so she can work
Yeah, I can get you.
quietly.
Get in my zone here.
So bring it.
All right, we're gonna do some channeling. I'll be in my zone. Wish me luck. I haven't done this in public yet, so we'll see how it goes.
Alright, so I need to have you name this. That's why you're getting Wizard of Oz. Her name's Dorothy.
Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, they come up with the weirdest. They come up with the weirdest things. We just had another validation from the ones readings. Okay.
Oh, that's not married. I'm not married anymore. Okay, so when I do energy healing, remember we are multi-dimensional. And I need your permission to do this because it can be really intense. You can do it either now or you can do it later. Here's our journey that's the most important. When you go through your day, it goes over there and you just go and do that because it's stuck energy, it's already in there. And if you resist it, it's still coming out, but you resisting it, it's going to stop it.
Can I ask you a question?
I'm getting ready to. Oh, did you need me? Did you have a question for me?
Appointment you had, 111.
Uh huh.
What time is it?
I don't have
We're not doing anything.
until like 2:30.
Well, that's what I'm saying. She wants one, but she wants to have the first one.
Oh, okay, I don't have anything signed up yet, so
So it's 2:30?
2:30.
Is the first one?
Yep.
Okay.
$528.
Huh?
That was good.
Oh, thanks. Library search. Here it is. All right. Now I'm gonna get myself.
I'm gonna try this, but I can't. Oh, I have music. We're good. Okay.
plead guilty before the court of heaven. With God at our side, we plead guilty at all accusations placed against us. We plead guilty before the court of heaven of all accusations made against yourself and others. And in the accuser in the court of heaven, we plead guilty now. We ask the court of heaven to fully wash away all accusations now. Wash away all accusations now. Wash away all accusations now. In the name of Yeshua and the Lord Creator, we ask the court of heaven to fully remove the accuser from the court of heaven now. Remove the accuser in the court of heaven now. Remove the accuser in the court of heaven now. Lord, we help you receive God's healing, receive God's healing, receive God's healing. Is your personality fullness? Is the accuser in the court of heaven removed? Are the dark spirits removed? Does she need to remove all thoughts, judgments, and thoughts made against herself and others? Is she ready to do that now? Thank you. Eyes closed. Deep breath. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we renounce all vows, judgments, and thoughts Dorothy Falcon made against herself and others, knowingly and unknowingly, that allowed her to be tricked by Satan. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command. We renounce all vows, judgments, and thoughts Dorothy Falcon made against herself and others, knowingly and unknowingly, that allowed her to be tricked by Satan in the name of sympathy. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command. We renounce all vows, judgments, and thoughts Dorothy Falcon made against herself and others, knowingly and unknowingly, that allowed herself to be tricked by Satan in the name of sympathy. Heal the mind, body, spirit complex of Dorothy Falcon. Heal the mind, body, spirit complex of Dorothy Falcon. Heal the mind, body, spirit complex of Dorothy Falcon. Dorothy Falcon, receive God's healing, receive God's healing, receive God's healing. Does Dorothy Falcon have any vows, judgments, and thoughts that she's made against herself and others? Are they fully removed now? Thank you. Does she have emotional damage in her physical body, causing unhealthy body? Is she ready to have those removed now? You're going to allow it to, okay, so you are going to allow it now. Take in a deep breath. We're going to have some clearing, please. And release. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command all emotional demons causing unhealthy body fully removed from the physical body. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command all emotional demons fully removed from Dorothy Falcon now, causing unhealthy body. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command all emotional demons fully removed from the physical body of Dorothy Falcon, causing unhealthy body. We command all hidden emotional demons fully removed from Dorothy Falcon, causing unhealthy body. Remove all hidden emotional demons from the physical body of Dorothy Falcon, causing unhealthy body. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command all emotional demons removed from the mind of Dorothy Falcon. We command all emotional demons removed from the mind of Dorothy Falcon now, causing unhealthy body, causing unhealthy mind. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command. Remove all emotional demons from the mind of Dorothy Falcon, causing unhealthy mind. In the name of Jesus Christ, the Lord Creator, we command all hidden emotional demons removed from the mind of Dorothy Falcon, causing unhealthy mind. Remove all hidden emotional demons causing unhealthy mind. back to you because the shock energies in your brain are creating health imbalances. And we get so used to it. I used to be on Simply for 20 years and never got Simply. So, that's it. Where's your number? Where's your number then?
6, it wasn't in my way. Anyway.
It'll go. You need to go ball, do that because it will help you tremendously. And there's nobody there.
Can we open the door?
And this, I'm gonna let him in. It's something to drink. Drink your decided water. Is that your water? Yeah. Okay. Drink it. It will help flush it out. Yeah, because tomorrow, because part of what's going on is, the shock energies in the brain.
And it's on the card, right? It's from the number on this one.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm Sally, right there, just text me right there. Do you remember when she was talking about, Wizard of Oz and trying to make that connection? And she was pointing to her name's Dorothy. All right, we are ready to start.
Have a sandwich.
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I can do that while she's channeling.
You gonna sit there and eat in front of her again?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
You can go ahead. I'm fully connected, so you need to probably bring people in.
Okay, do you want them one at a time or do you want them
Because
all
we're
at
supposed to
once?
start at, this is supposed to start at 12:15, right?
Yeah, so, yeah, we're a little bit late. That's
I'm
okay.
gonna put these back in while you, that's okay. You gave me time.
All right. Can I have a hug?
Me too.
Okay, Courtney eats, and we're gonna talk, okay, and this is, so go, this was new. First from my
We'll be
knee.
starting.
All right. Do you want them one at a time, or do you want everybody in at once?
I mean, I'm not doing channeling readings. I have messages. So like, they need to all come in and sit down.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna put these back in. And once everybody gets settled, just come and just tap me.
Okay.
And so I can take my earbuds out.
Okay.
So welcome back. So I've been working on getting a full energetic connection with my guides and whoever's going to be coming through. They surprise me. So as I connect, you'll hear me speak. I have no idea how this is going to go. It may be them talking at you. It may be engaging conversation. Sally helps to ground me, and she will ask the questions to continue the conversation with the energetic connection. Give me just a reconnect. I feel like it's going to be, I don't know which one's stepping in first. Hello. My name is Dr. Mike. I am Lorenda's main spirit guide and teacher. She is the one that has had to do the work to learn the language to speak to me. This is her first time doing this in a public setting. We felt she was ready. So we thank you for attending. There will be a couple of guides, a couple of spirits that come through today. To give you information and give you an opportunity to ask questions. We will do our best to answer as we keep Lorenda energetically connected to us. This is a learning moment for her as well. So I'm going to step back and allow another one of her guides to come forward to help her regulate her energy and be able to connect her to the spirit that wishes to come through. Hello. My name is Lily, and I am Lorenda's Joy Guide. We go by many different names, but she often calls me her gatekeeper. I adjust her energy to be able to receive messages. We are adjusting her energy again now. Thank you for your patience. Hello, Sally.
Hello there, how are you?
I didn't mean to be rude by not acknowledging you. I apologize. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Do you have any messages for anybody in the room?
Star will be coming through to give some messages. But I'm here to answer questions.
Does anybody have a question for Lily? Oh, come on, you know your head's full of questions.
Who is it?
This is her joy guide, Lily.
My name is Lily. I help to adjust Lorenda's vibration. And when she does readings, I'm the one that brings forth the people that she talks to. That connects your loved ones in spirit. You all have 5 guides, and I am just one of them. But I am just specifically for Lorenda in this lifetime that she's here on Earth.
I have a question, Lily.
Yes.
We have a special person in the room who feels like we saved her mom, but she has doubt. How can we give her some evidence or proof that everything was divinely done?
She is a healer. She has the ability to lay her hands on people and to remove energy that does not belong. She also has the ability to give energy where it is needed. Her love for her mother was very, very strong, and her mother's journey was not finished here. There was also a nurse on staff that has healing abilities that prayed over her mother for a very long time and sent her a lot of energy. She in fact did create the healing along with connecting to others.
How does she remove her doubt?
Her doubt is fear. And once you can remove fear from a situation and replace it with love energy and a knowing and a trusting of your guides and your angels, there was also an invocation of Archangel Michael, as well as Archangel Raphael.
Yesterday when you got there.
They were there. Michael was there to hold up and to give strength to the doctors who also unknowingly gave many good intentions. They were put into her path for a reason. She had a lot of unfinished business. So she needs to have more confidence and connect to her joy guide. We all have them. When I was on my earth walk, I had them too. Her mother was surrounded by many angels that day and many loved ones. There was a point where she tried to cross over. She tried to leave this earth. And she was told she had to come back.
her to take it forward in the future? Something that she could work on? Something.
Trust. Trust and love. Not trust and fear. Change your thinking. Change the words that go through your mind. Don't say what you don't know. Don't say what you don't think is true. Say what you believe. Say what you would like to bring forth. And say it in love, as if it's already happened. Intention is everything.
Thank you, Lily. Does anybody else have any questions?
Somebody wanted to ask how this connection can possibly happen. This happens because Lorinda has to raise her vibration. But we also help with this. What she experiences is an overwhelming sense of energy shifting into her body. Right now, her mind is on the beach, enjoying some sun while we talk with you. I am always on her left, energetically. Dr. Mike is always on her right, energetically. Star is always right in front of her. You will meet her soon.
My ears are ringing right now.
You have a question, they're trying to get you to ask it, and I keep going to you.
Feel free to ask anything.
I mean, I don't know. I
It
have so
could be
many. It's
just-
overwhelming right
just
now.
Big,
I'm just
but
trying
it's
to
this, it
find
doesn't
out.
have to be anything deep, just whatever you wanna know.
The layers, that's something maybe everybody could get something out of.
Well, I've had plenty signs that I'm very empathic and clairvoyant. And I hear things and I know things before they happen. But I do doubt it sometimes. But
What is the block? Can Lily tell us what the block is?
Fear of failure.
that's a big one for me. That's me my whole life.
That is one of the things that you are sent here to overcome, is your fear of failure and fear of judgment. Once you're able to let that go, you'll see a lot more clearly. Work on connecting to your higher self. You're very, very powerful. Work on clearing your chakras. Learn to stay grounded. Put your feet into grass. Connect to nature, because nature has never failed you.
I do that every day, but I am very imaginative, so I think it makes me not grounded anymore, but that's where I get my ideas.
You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. When you are grounded, you will see images. When you hear the first words or see the first images, those are the ones you should believe. The ones immediately following are your doubt, the ones talking you out of what you just saw. Your higher self, your subconscious, whatever you want to call it, your oversoul, the bigger version of you, is showing you pictures that you need to see. You're a visual person. If you don't see it, you don't believe it. And even when you do see it, you don't believe it. Ask for your joy guide and your doctor, teacher, philosopher guide to cover you in their energy. And ask them to show you what you need to see. And just know that the first images, the first words you hear, and the first knowing, that is your key, is your knowing. What do you know first? That is the message.
That's true. I just told her the other day, she's like, just go with your intuition. And I'm trying to be better about that, because then if I start second guessing myself, I get so overwhelmed that I won't do anything.
Dolores Cannon calls that Mr. Stupid.
Yeah.
The
So
monkey
lately I'm just like, go with it. Go with it. The flow, and everything works out so much better when I do it that way. I mean, everything works out for me. Everything goes my way. Everything's for the better, and I tell myself that. And even when people try to argue with me, and I'm like, I get my way. Everything is for me. And they're like, whatever. And I'm like, but then it does. It always works out for me. I don't know about them, but it does me. But those are my intentions. But the self-doubt, yeah, that can get me back to square one, basically.
So you must get out of your own way.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a lot more powerful than you think. And that you give yourself credit for. And that goes for everybody in the room. Negative draws negative. Lower vibrations and lower energies will vibrate and attract lower vibrations and lower energies. Bigfoot is a good example, as Sally brought up. While there's no Bigfoot on this vibrational earth plane as you see it, they do exist because we, in our human walk, will create them in a low frequency. They do not live here. They live elsewhere. Just like what you call fairies or sprites. They live in lower levels. Not that they're bad. They're just in a lower, different vibration. Like what you would call a radio station, you could turn the dial. And if you're listening to one kind of music, you can't hear another station. It's the same with vibration. If you live in a higher vibration, that is what you will see, what you will feel, and what will be drawn to you. When you set the intention to only receive information from the highest and greatest good that is meant to be for you, to make your life as wonderful as it can possibly be here, then that's what you will get. Because you have to believe that you deserve it. If you don't believe you deserve it, then you will not get it. Because you are bringing forth and living the doubt. You are manifesting the doubt.
Questions? I keep wanting to go here.
I'm good.
Okay.
So I'm going to step aside. I'm going to allow Lorenda's master teacher and ascended master, Star, to come through. Star is a being that helps many people, not just Lorenda. Star's specific job is to help her do this kind of work. at this point in her life. In order for Lorinda to connect to Star, I will step away and we have to change her vibration so she's able to receive Star. You'll have to ask Lorinda when she's done with this about her experience last night. Through her vibrational, what she refers to as leveling up, which is funny that she calls it that. So I'm stepping away, and Star will be forward soon. Hello.
Hello, Star.
It is so good to see you again, Sally. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I am Lorinda's master teacher.
There seems to be a lot of questions in the room, Star. Can you read those questions? Because I think there's some hesitancy bringing some of them forward. And maybe speak on some of the questions that people may have.
The big question is Lorinda really doing this? Or is this all an act? The first time Lorinda saw this with her mentor, it took her 2 weeks to even speak about it, because she also didn't believe it. And that is okay. We are all on our own journeys. Someone was going to ask what other guides we have and if we all have them. We all come into this world with 4 guides that stay with us from birth until death. And even as we cross over into our healing, if that is necessary. Each guide has their own job. I, however, have not been with Lorinda her entire life. She had a different guide before me that was a master level teacher. Your doctor, teacher, philosopher guide, we all have one. That is what you call your intuition. The voice in the back of your head. The knowing. When you know something is off, but you can't figure out what it is. Your joy guide is the one that sits with you when you are happy and when you are sad. They help you lift your spirits. They also help you understand your sadness. It is okay to be sad on this earth journey. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to feel all of the feelings that you feel as a human being. That is why you are here. To experience these things. When you are not sure how to get out of something that is negative, when you can't seem to see the negativity that seems to consume you, ask your joy guide to sit with you and to cover you in their energy. If you feel unsafe, you can call upon your protector guide. They are with you from the day you're born until you pass over to come home as well. They tend to be more silent in the background. Some of us in the room need more protection than others. But we can't always be saved by the choices we make. We also have an alchemist that stays with us from the day we are born until the day we come home. They keep your mind, your body, and your spirit congealed here on this planet in this life walk. When you get the feeling that you're going to be ill, but you can't figure out why, there's no sign, that is your doctor or your alchemist sending you messages through your ethereal body. This gives you the opportunity to heal yourself if that is meant to be.
Star?
Yes, son.
What about recognizing landmarks? How do people recognize landmarks in their life, knowing they need to make a change? And what guide would be bringing that forward? How does one recognize those landmarks?
Oftentimes your body, through illness, pain, will tell you you're going in the wrong direction. Or if you're just not going forward at all, if you're not making progress, your body will let you know. And if things just seem to go in the wrong direction, no matter how much you are trying, you must ground yourself and connect to your guides. Even if you don't see them or hear them, you will know. And they're going to show you the path.
So for somebody, for example, would be having diabetes or any kind of blood sugar imbalances, what is that telling the person who may be suffering with that?
That can be a number of things. This can come from previous lives. This can be carried over. A lot of times it is residual. Sometimes it is brought on later in life because of the poor choices we make in order to try to make ourselves feel better. And it's your body's way of saying to stop.
I have a question.
Yes.
I need to know why I will physically, not intentionally, well, not thinking intentionally, like beat myself up, like run into things, like it'll happen for days in a row where I'm being injured, but maybe little injuries, but I just don't know why I keep doing that.
Yourself.
I know.
Well, you're going the wrong direction, you will run into things. There's your subconscious or your oversoul, your higher self, trying to tell you to slow down, to pay attention to your surroundings, metaphorically as well as literally. So when those things happen, it is important to stop in that moment. Ground yourself and be open to receiving the first thing that you hear or know. Your guides want to help you. Your team wants to help you. And sometimes just sending you a little off path, a little off balance. As we'll call your attention to it. So in those moments, stop and look around to see what is happening. What do you notice? Sometimes it is those moments where you see a clock and it is multiples of the same number. Sometimes it is a person in the room that looks like someone that reminds you of someone else. Take note of what's going on in those moments. And also take note, did you ask prior to that to give you an opportunity to slow down? Sometimes when we ask our guides to slow us down or give us a break,
It is what that is.
we literally run into things.
I've been overwhelmed. I'm like, here, and then I'm like hurting myself. I'm like, oh my god. But then I run and I'm like, okay, I hurt myself, but I got to go. I got something else to do.
I think you need to be careful what you ask for because Dolores Cannon had a client. The woman said that she needed to get a break and she fell and broke her leg.
Well, I did that. I did that when I worked at Frickers. I was like, I need a break. And then I didn't even want the break. And my mom was like, you got a break now. And I was like, well, this is not the break I want. I broke my ankle.
It's literal.
Yes,
It says.
yeah, it was literal.
Star, can you speak on that, please?
That exact same thing, that scenario happened to Lorenda. She can give you more details. She too asked for a break. And the universe handed her COVID. Forced her to slow down and reevaluate. And that is how we often manifest our own fates and our own destinies. Nothing is predestined. We all have free will. And when something is put out there into the energetic world, it will come back to you as you put it out.
So think about, bring about.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Why do we experience near-death experiences? Why?
Sometimes our souls are tired and we yearn to go home. Sometimes when we sleep or when we're not paying attention, we do what you often refer to as astral travel, and sometimes you forget to come back. Sometimes when you try to leave because you feel it's just too much, if your work is not done, you will be sent back. You will be encouraged to come back. There are many contracts that we agree upon before coming here. And I use the word contract because this is what you know as humans. We prefer agreements or understandings. And sometimes it's just not our time to go. So there are a number of reasons when this happens, and sometimes it's to prove the continuity of life. Because when we cross over, if we are truly missing someone and we want to go be with them, sometimes we will our bodies to stop and to shut down so our souls can go be with that person. Which is why oftentimes you'll hear those stories about how they will come back and talk of the loved ones that told them they had to return. Some people will meet their master guides, the ascended masters. Jesus, for example, is an ascended master. Some people will see him because that is who they know and they love. And that's why many people will come back with a new sense of purpose. Sometimes if a soul is very broken because of things they've experienced here, they will not come back. There may be a soul exchange in order to fulfill contracts or agreements to ensure that the people that they are supposed to be here with are able to fulfill their goals as well and their commitments.
I think Suzette had a question, Star.
Where do we go when we go to sleep? Because I work, it feels like I'm working.
Oftentimes our souls will travel a number of places. You could go to the other side. You could go to some place that you love here on earth in this lifetime. You may go visit people. You may go to a library and just read a book, make yourself more knowledgeable. Some people will go to other dimensions or other timelines. It is often referred to as another dimension or multidimensional. Some people live more than one life at a time. Because our soul is so large, we are a mere spark of ourselves when we come here to this planet into life, or any other planet into another life. We are just a spark of our over soul. Sometimes we think that we can handle more than one life at a time, so we do various timelines. This is why some people will dream about other times. It's not necessarily that that was their past life. It could be what they are living now in the present in a different dimension or a different vibration.
Better in my dream.
Star, one of the questions posed was when people begin to grow in their experience and they begin to awaken to a world that is they didn't know existed before, and they naturally want to tell everybody about that experience, yet they're met with resistance or non-believers. What would be the best path forward, not to shut one down as they continue their growth, but not alienate the people that they want to tell about their experience?
Don't be ashamed. And you can share. And please understand that when you share with people who do not share your vibration, they are not going to understand, and you will be met with resistance. It's like listening to a country station, but rock and roll is playing instead. and you're met with resistance because you're not hearing what you want to hear. Or someone's not playing the same frequency as what you want to hear. It is okay to move on from them energetically. You do not have to go down to their level and explain yourself. Have faith in the knowing and send them the good vibrations so they can understand when it is time for them to understand. Not everyone is meant to be in such a high vibration and to know things. That may not be what their earth experience is supposed to be. So it is okay to wish them well. You don't have to leave them or push them away. But don't lower your vibration to match theirs. It is not your job to make everyone around you comfortable. Your job here is to live in your truth, to live in the best way that you can, and to get the most out of this earth walk. Yes?
I have kind of, I don't know if anybody else knows about this, but I've been worried about if we should be worried about the portals that have been opened. I've been worried about that, yeah. Because there's been a lot of stuff.
No portals.
No Walker Ranch.
No portals were opened.
Okay.
No portals. Those are vibrations of fear.
I didn't believe that.
Those are fear.
I do a lot of research.
I know. The rabbit hole.
Well, anything can become a rabbit hole.
I'm just saying, I just.
Anything.
Okay, watch that.
Okay, so how about this? We talked about the Mandela effect, and so I think that's probably where you're going. They think the portals will open. Maybe it's alternative timelines instead.
Well, that's what I watched a video, and this lady was like, I think it's all happening at the same time, and people are like losing things. They're like, a lot of weird stuff's been going on.
We create our own reality. And when you believe something will happen, it will happen.
Because we live in the matrix.
Well, but the Mandela effect is confusing because of everything that you look at, like how things were spelled, but years ago, not the recent thing. I'm talking about years ago. The Bernstein Bears isn't spelled the same. Like Breeze isn't spelled the same.
Monopoly.
Nothing. Yeah, a lot of weird stuff. And it's like, I don't know.
This is where discernment comes in. There's a lot of noise and a lot of things that are put out there that are not necessarily true. And there are things that are true. You must work with your guides. You will be vibrationally aligned with what you are supposed to be vibrationally aligned with. You will also create your own reality. This is very important for you to understand. You will create your own reality. Perception is reality. And if you are not sure, this is where it's important to go put your feet in the ground. Connect to the vibration of this planet. Ask for the discernment to know what is right and what is wrong. And to what is important for you to believe and what is important for you to take on. Please remember, things like this are based in fear. We have always had access to other timelines. There's no portal needed.
That begs the question, Star. Do we jump from timeline to timeline? Is it possible?
We can. It is not
time
encouraged.
jumpers?
It's not encouraged. It's important for you to get the most out of this life and this walk.
Oh, I thought I saw you were
What's quantum jumping?
That is the ability to go visit other timelines and also to see things from other times. Keep in mind that time is different on the other side. It is not as you perceive it here. You can be living in this time right now, and your soul can be experiencing time 50 years from now as you perceive it here. Because there is no time. It's just our chosen experience. It exists here because of our...
Well, we've created it.
Yes. It is something that the human body and mind finds necessary to maintain control and order. We're having a hard time staying connected as Lorenda's not used to this long of a time. We did our best to prepare her, but she's growing tired in her connection. So if there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer before we disconnect.
Okay, I have one more question.
Yes.
I go into hermit mode and then back into go mode and hermit mode and go mode. Am I supposed to be doing that, or can I get out of that? Because even when I look up
Ask yourself if you're going into this hermit mode because of fear, or is it because of love?
Like
Are you shutting everyone out because you love yourself
Yes,
enough
that's what I do.
to give yourself space?
Mm-hmm.
Then that is okay.
Okay.
If you're shutting out because of fear, then you will spiral. And it is important in those times to recognize the difference.
Well, I think I give so much of myself to people that I have to go in hermit mode.
Yes, to recharge.
And recharge. Yes. Like I need my own space.
Mm-hmm. That's healthy.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is good. And it also gives you a chance to connect to your team, the ones that help you.
I do come out of it with a lot more knowledge and answers
Then
than
yes.
I had before.
Keep it up.
It's just very important, and this is for anyone. When you feel like withdrawing and disconnecting from other people, always ask, is it out of fear or out of love? And if it's out of fear, ask for that fear to be removed, or ask if it is necessary, and ask for it to be removed and replaced with love intentions and love energy.
Let me ask this, Star, to interrupt, I'm sorry. But fear, we all tend to, in our awakening moment, think of fear as something we have to all get rid of. But fear does have a service, does it not?
Fear absolutely has a service.
Maybe you could explain that before you go, and then we can maybe end on that.
This is where it's important to ask for discernment. Are you fearing out of love? Or are you fearing out of something more negative? It's just very important when you feel fearful, because this is a normal human construct. It is a way to survive. So it is normal. It is not the fear that we should be afraid of. It's how we deal with it, how we face it. This is where our lessons are. We have opportunities to learn lessons from the fear that happens as a result of things we don't understand. So it is very important to always ask and address the fear. And find out why it is there. Never stop asking those questions. Never stop asking if it's fear or love, and if that fear is needed. Was that fear needed to save you from something? Because your guides loved you enough in that moment, or wanted you to stay protected, that they put that fear in your path. Fear is not bad, but ask for the discernment to know the difference.
Thank you, Star.
You're welcome, and thank you so much, everybody, for coming and allowing us to come through. I know Lorenda will be appreciative of this as well. So we're going to disconnect and send you all the blessings and a nice big burst of energy, of love. And just know that your guides, your team, and everyone on the other side fully supports you and wants you to succeed. They want you to function in love and learn the lessons that you were sent here to learn, and grow and be the best version of yourself, so you may ascend to the higher levels when you come home. That is your goal here.
Thank you.
Hi.
Are you back?
Feel a little. I was under a long time, wasn't I? I can feel it. That's the longest I think I've been under.
Thank you.
So how was it?
Yeah, was it good for you?
I gotta get I feel like all the blood's out of my body. I feel heavy. That's what happens when I'm under for so long. So what'd y'all think? How'd that go?
That was great.
Yeah. I've never done that before.
And I don't know why I kept coming to you, because all I keep seeing is this question mark above her head. I'm sure. This ginormous question mark.
It's easier to have resistance.
We're just loud all the time, and so we're just like, hey, what was that?
We have a million questions.
Yeah.
I do too. It's really hard.
And
It's
as
like,
I was sitting
I'm
here,
getting
out of the
tired,
corner of my
no.
eye, there's like this big blue light that flashed up there. I don't know what it was. It was like a baby blue. It was like pretty big.
It's probably Star's energy. She comes through in blue.
Okay. Because I literally like turned my head and it was like boom. I was like, what? I looked around.
So I've had the privilege of helping her expand this and expand the time and increase the connections. So when I have these lists of questions too, what you're talking about, and I could tell, she begins to get a cadence about her. This is okay, she's getting fatigued. Now I sit here and think, do I keep her going?
Yeah.
Because I got all these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, she'll shut me down entirely. I better limit it. But I do know. It's like, oh my God, no, don't go. It's like dragging on her leg. Don't go.
Have you ever seen Daryl Anka? He's a channel, and I've watched him online. I haven't seen him in life, but I've watched him online, and he does that.
Is that the bald guy?
Yeah, he goes,
Yeah.
have a good day!
Oh, yeah, I have seen
He's
him.
Bashar.
Bashar.
Yes.
Yeah, his name's
Yeah.
Daryl Anka.
I've seen
Yeah,
That's
I've
his
seen
real
him.
real name. He's
Seen
an
him on
actor,
TikTok.
or he's an actor or a producer or something like
He's
that.
a producer, I think.
Oh
is
yeah.
what he is.
But when he
That's
comes
right.
through, he's like, have a good day!
Yeah.
He says all kinds of stuff.
So
yeah.
it's
That's
kind
funny.
of funny when he's saying it, but
Yeah.
he's kind of mean, like he just tells you how it is, no matter if you like
Well,
it.
and
Yeah.
My higher self, we had to put a lid on that.
yeah.
Because
Yes.
we were doing MDH readings,
Yeah, it
and
was
where it's my
so
higher
funny.
self, My higher self had no filter.
No filter,
Yeah.
and we were reaching out to
We love
a
that.
lady in Kuwait who had a completely different culture. So,
Right.
you know, you have to be
Yeah.
able to temper that
Gotta
a little
filter.
bit.
I remember going back into meditation going, read the room. Like, you can't just say it. Like, I would never have said the things that my higher self was just like, yeah, well, maybe you should, I mean, blah, 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 blah.
And I've had that problem too, like my kids or like, I would call the cable company and they would be like act like they didn't know, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is your job. And
Yeah, I don't like to be around when she calls
and then
people.
my kids are like, why are you telling them? And then I did
We're
it to the-
opposites.
I
She's
did
on
it
the
to
phone
the
like,
light.
you need to do your job, and I'm like
But this
doing
is
it
what I
nicely
said.
because I get what I want.
Hold on, let me
That
say,
way.
and this is what I said, and you guys will probably understand what I'm saying. So I did this to the light company woman, and I told her, and I said, she said, what do you want? And I said, I want you to be nice and kind person. And so my daughter said, what? You told her that? And I said, yeah. And now
Well, now she's gotta
today,
think about it.
she's thinking, I should be nicer and kinder to the people that I talk to, because she wasn't. So I was actually, I didn't think I was gonna say that, I just channeled it. She said, what would you like? And I said, for a nice kind, to talk to a nice kind person.
Sometimes
So now
spirit will do
today
that.
she's saying, well, not today, but it was a while back. So that was me channeling, saying, lady, you're treating people like shit.
Well, it's
Can
hard
you
to be
treat
nice to the light company because they lie. They lie so
But
much and
anyway,
they're behind
that's
plastic
what I'm
glass
saying,
for
it
a
came
reason,
through, and that was in really a nice way. I could have said, hey, Bea, you're saying, I mean,
But, and that's happened, I think, to a number of us. Like, all of a sudden, like, you have that out of body experience. And you're like, that just
And
fell
you
out of
say
my
it.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to take it back.
Yeah.
And you can't. You're like, come.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But
But what, that was
Yeah.
a message they needed to hear.
yeah, but then she was like, well, the lady at the light company's home thinking.
Yeah, I was like, well, now she's probably marinating that, like, wow, maybe I am a bitch
But
at
maybe
work.
she needed to, that's why I'm
people,
saying,
you know, this is not
why
good
should we cut
customer
our
service.
channels down, when maybe that's what they needed to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just need to get a disclaimer out there. Okay, unfiltered.
Yeah.
Star unfiltered.
Filtered session. Unfiltered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, did you guys, have you ever been to anything like that? I'm just asking, cause I have, this is the first time I've.
Yeah, I've never,
No, I've never
not in person.
What did you think?
You have?
Do
Really?
you like it, or do you think it was weird, or?
It's different. It's different because, yeah, anything different if your first time.
But what they said made sense. It's like, it really did.
So what was
What
your
are we talking
opinion?
about?
Because you've been to multiple, I mean, I'm sure everybody has different way of delivery, different information as they make their own connection, so.
Let me think about, cause I'm one of those, so I gotta be careful.
We like those.
Oh, I think
We're beyond that. This is a safe space for that.
No, my experience here was fine. I don't think that I learned any new information, but
Right.
there's a lot of people here that apparently, obviously needed that information that she brought forth,
Yeah.
so.
And
Yeah.
new information
Well-
can be a one-on-one.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's the best, yeah.
Yeah, and the goal too is I don't think I'm ready just to channel anybody, because I'm comfortable with the energy of my guides, and like my grandmother came through out of nowhere, hadn't heard from her since she died, and she spoke through me in a way that only she could. It was crazy. And then your grandmother came through, but even that was a hard connection. When we did a practice run to try and purposely bring somebody through. So this is you're getting to watch like the process. You're getting to watch the learning process. So hopefully they gave some sort of good information.
Yeah,
They did.
All was great.
That was all good.
But it's not going to be it's what I affectionately call the dog and pony show. You may get what you want, you may not.
Yep.
Like I'm not going to be up here doing the tricks.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, the ones that I've been to, you ask for specific people. You can either ask for one of
Yes.
your guides, or you can ask for a crossover loved one, whatever.
Mhm.
My experience with the other ones weren't that great. So,
Well,
Yeah,
the one-on-one
and-
is way more, like,
well,
it's
I've
very.
come for that
Yeah,
too.
because I
Yeah.
did it last time and like everything that I wanted to hear, well, I mean, more than what I wanted to hear.
I've got
Okay,
experience with
Because it was-
things like this.
Miranda unfiltered? So like,
No, it really wasn't unfiltered, honestly.
That's
I
the
like
thing.
unfiltered. I like
Yeah.
the good, the bad,
The
the
real.
ugly. I like the real.
real.
I want to know.
Yes.
Yeah. And people
Give
are
it to
different timelines, like this, you might have woke up last week, I've been woke up for 9 years. You might have been woke up for a year, so you're on a different timeline wherever you're at. So
Yeah.
whatever,
Some things
this
could be
might be
foreign
new
to
to
some
you,
people.
and this might be, almost all of that, it was stuff that I've already heard, but I need
Well,
to
that's
hear it
because we've
again.
done the research.
Yeah. You forget stuff. I mean, I forget stuff, and I'm just like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when I asked about when I go to sleep, because when I go to sleep, I'm like tick tick tick.
You have
I
to
feel like I'm
you
up
realize
here
I
doing
have no
I-
idea. Like I have no idea
We'll
what
have
the
like 3 or
conversations
4
were.
dreams.
Yeah, like
you
I
can
asked.
actually control that.
Well, I need to, because sometimes I'm
You
like,
need to start
oh,
Don't
saying-
let me walk
I
out of
think
here
I work
without
out
before
telling
you
you
go to
how to
sleep.
do
a
it.
whole job before I even actually waking up and go to the next
That's
job.
why you're exhausted when you wake up.
Yeah.
Oh my God, am I gonna make it through?
Well, that's how she is anyway. She's like, she calls me and she's like, okay, we need to do this, and then right after that she's like, yeah, and then this, and this, and this, and this, and this. So I'm assuming when she goes to sleep, she's probably in her dream like, hey, you need to do this, 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 and I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, oh my God, shut the fuck up.
No, I
You gotta do one thing at
Yeah.
a time, or I'm gonna crumble because I can't do it.
I have to set intentions
Yeah.
to say I want sleep.
Don't let me walk out of here
Yes.
without
Period.
telling you
I
how
want
to do
sleep.
that.
I set boundaries.
Okay.
You step. Yeah.
I will say one thing,
Uh-huh.
that the other ones that I've been to, the people, when they bring people through, it's more like an acting thing. Your voice was normal, it
Yeah.
wasn't real high pitched
Yeah.
and giddy, and
Yeah.
hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Oh, but when
Yeah.
she brought through my
Like anger.
grandmother, she brought through the southern drawl.
Oh, well, I know, that's okay, but this, now, the ones that I've
That'd be
been to
funny.
were very, very animated, and I didn't believe.
And that
Like,
makes
that's
sense.
me, I go to
Now I
sleep.
will say honestly, like the first time I went to like a psychic circle, like a seance kind of thing, was with my mentor, who is freak of nature, phenomenal, like amazing, and where she brought through people like my grandfather, like had his voice, knew things that literally nobody else would know.
Right.
And I walked out of there unable to speak about it for a week because I still doubted it.
Yeah, but I could never get any questions answered, that's the thing, and
Oh no, I
know
got
that-
questions answered.
I know that
Yeah.
if that was my grandmother speaking to me, my grandmother would have told me, because my grandmother told me years before she passed away, if I ever found anybody, to reach out to anybody, that you needed to ask a question that only you and that person knows. And it was always, well, that's not for you to know, we can't tell you right now, or that person's not available. Nah.
Red flags.
Right.
Red flags, which is why I'm working with Sally to make sure I get a deep enough connection and being able to connect to, I have to learn how to connect to various, like everybody's a different vibration.
Yes.
So when I feel those moments, like when Dr. Mike stepped in, I feel him, he's comfortable, he's my main guide. It's like suction when he leaves. Yeah, and then Lily comes in. I'm aware of the in-between. And then Lily leaves. And then Star is such like, it's like they have to like plug in an extra amplifier.
Big energy.
Because I was just like, I remember I can't call her she, I have to call her they. Like my Star, I've called her she, but I keep getting called out. They're like, we have no gender. Just, I'm like, fine, whatever. You, Star. Respectfully. But that energy is so, because this is an ascended master, this is a master level energy, like the energy is just huge. And I have to, and they're funny, they're like, yep, you're, bye. So then I have no idea what's happening until I watch the video later.
Now, how do you do your one-on-one?
I don't channel one-on-one yet.
I mean,
What?
with one
Oh, with
person.
reading? Oh, I do mediumship. So I'll, it's psychic reading, mediumship, depending on what that person wants to know. And that's where I work with my guides directly. I don't channel them. So
And you can ask specific right then, can't you?
yeah, you can ask specific questions even then.
We just don't do it out in the room, do we?
Right, but
Just
also
how is it coming in?
it's the information is, and that's actually a really good question. The information is received very, very differently. My guides come into my body and use my voice. that's channeling. When I do mediumship, it's what I was earlier. I'm like, okay, they're showing me this. They're showing me these symbols. I'm hearing this. I'm knowing this. I'm feeling this. Sometimes I'll smell things.
Oh, I have to interject here.
I've been doing
So remember when she was doing the not channeling, the spirit talk just a bit ago, and the lady sitting here, she kept, I want to go to you, and she kept using the Wizard of Oz as a reference, and she was like, that wasn't making any sense to her. Her name was Dorothy.
Are you
Her
serious?
name was Dorothy.
Can't make that shit up.
that girl that's coming
Dorothy.
Can't make it up. So
I
that's what I'm
would
saying.
get a
So I do get, though I get those messages, and I just haven't done like, I'm still getting used to doing platform, all the bodies in person. That's why it's a free demonstration. That's why this part wasn't paid.
Right.
You sit down with me, I'm going to give you like one-on-one. That's a different energetic connection. I'm not far enough in my development, working with my mentor, working with Sally, that I feel comfortable saying, okay, sure, I'll channel your Uncle Joe, because I don't know how to. I'm not prepared, and it's partially fear too.
Yeah.
I don't know what Uncle Joe did.
Yeah.
What if Uncle Joe's a serial
Are you
killer?
gonna feel their energy when you channel it?
Yeah. Like,
that-
because sometimes people will come through and I'll be like, this person feels slimy.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. How do you know if it's a good or a bad entity?
I
Because
only-
I've been told that for so many years that I'm messing with the devil and evil entities.
Well, don't own it. Don't own it.
There's no devil, first of all. Energy we create is the energy we can create negative energy. There's no devil, there's no hell. This is it.
I think this is hell.
Well, I think hell on earth. You
Hell is
create
the
hell
one.
on earth,
Yes.
or you
Yes.
create your heaven
So,
on earth.
but
It's a
negative-
mental thing.
So
You're
negative
either a pessimist or an optimist.
So negative energies, when I have a deal with my guides, and you and I have had this conversation so many times, like they don't come through with me because I don't allow them. My team protects me from negative energies. And you can have, not earthbound, I hate that phrase earthbound, but energies that are just kind of, they're not ready to move on, they don't want to go anywhere. Or negative fears that we put out there, or other people have put out there.
Collective.
That,
fear,
yeah,
collective
that
energy.
we are picking up. I purposely set the intention, and I don't ask for it every day, because I'm like, listen, ADD, you know this is not going to happen every day. So let's just set the intention that we don't deal with this. Good? Excellent. So I'm not going to have those negative things coming through. And you can have the same thing. And you know what? People will often refer to things that they don't understand as the devil. It's foosballs, the devil, Bobby Boucher.
Well, when I
You know what that
when I
means?
get when you're talking about the slimy feel, I get it off of people out in the public. It's like I don't know what
That
it
is,
is. They
yes,
have my skin
that's
wrong.
empath.
That's
I am an
empathic.
empath.
Yes.
That's the
But-
frequency.
That's
so,
their
right?
frequency.
It's-
That's
Yes,
their vibration.
And I just
And it doesn't vibe with you. It's like me, if I were to walk into a country bar, I'd be like, because I hate country music. Sorry if you like country music. But like, it hurts my body.
I know, it's my ears bleeding.
Right? But there's some music
Whining going on.
but it's the same thing. It's vibration. And if
Y'all
someone is a
fucking
low
right.
vibration and you're like, ew. So if someone comes through and I say, if I feel that slimy person, then that's what they were when they were in this earth life. And that, for me to say that, is they're identifying traits that the person in front of me is going to identify with. If I say, I've got this fatherly energy who loves you, they're going to be like, yeah, my dad was a slime ball. No, that spirit, and that's part of evidential mediumship, is identifying what that spirit was like when they were here. Not who they are now, because we cross over,
Right.
and that's not who we are anymore.
Yeah, we're loving like this.
So that's segue perfect into what is energy healing. Are any of you guys interested in the other part of that? What we're going to talk about?
Okay, yeah, but I need to stand up and shake it off. Can we take like a 5-minute break before I move into that?
You can, but I want to say something to a point about what you just said. That segue.
Yeah.
So, if you are familiar with Dolores Cannon, and she does the big oversoul, and what she was talking about, you know, we have the higher self and whatnot. We all have, I always hate to say our oversoul, it's like, or the bigger you. It's the complete you. And so what happens with the oversoul, when you come into the world when you're born, then you manifest out me, Sally, you, Lorinda, you, whoever. It's almost like you have this thumb that comes out and it bebops around in the 3D world. And you're getting bumped around. Sometimes you're hitting your thumb with the hammer or whatnot. And maybe eventually it becomes gangrene. So either your body's going to heal it or your doctor's going to have to amputate it. That is a similar thing that happens with the oversoul. The everlasting part of you. So you're expressed here in the 3D world, you're probably 80% there, 20% here. This gets gangrene because you've been bebopping around having experiences, maybe traumatized. Either you'll heal it or it's going to have to be amputated. If it has to be amputated, it's not disconnected from you forever. It's just that the oversoul is not going to allow this contamination to affect the bigger part of you. So when Slimy Dad croaks, he's going to have to go through a healing process before he can be reabsorbed back into the greater part of you. Now once he does that, he may not be a slimy spirit, but he was definitely a slimy person. So,
but that's how you identify it.
Right, and so, exactly. So you have to think, oh my gosh, is he over there being, slimy? The answer to that is no.
Right.
So, but yeah, but we can heal those things down. That's why I wanted to say, we can take the 5-minute breaks, you can shake it off, but we can definitely heal all that, so. You don't have to croak to have healing.
Any other questions about the channeling before I shake it off? Anyone?
Shake it off, girlfriend.
Say that again.
I said, anyone have any other questions before we take our little break?
Actually, when your spirit guides do come in, it really wears on your body, right? So you don't do it all the time. And then
It doesn't wear me out physically.
Oh, it does. It's
So
just
right now,
energetic.
it's energetic, and then I get tired during the time, but I actually, before I do any of this, I set the intention that I will not feel this I will not be physically affected.
Okay.
Again, it's the conversation with the guides. They know how I work. So when they leave, then it takes me a few minutes to kind of get reacclimated, but I'm fine. If anything, I'm buzzed.
This is what, I'm glad you just said that. I feel like I am flying. I'm like, what
It's
is
because
going
you're
on?
working up here vibrationally.
Yes.
So if people come out of it and they feel drained or
Yes.
and dramatic, question.
Well, I can be, sometimes I'm up there for a whole day or two. I'm like, I'm biting
Yeah,
high.
if you're feeling drained, you're feeling it probably from some type of a secondary higher.
Well, I'm not
Yes.
feeling drained. I'm feeling like, oh my God, I'm gonna, today is gonna be the most wonderful day ever.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Oh, Linda, she's shy, so I have
It's
to
okay.
raise my hand.
It's okay.
How do you get in touch with these spirit guides that are with you, from birth to death? How do you get in touch with them, or how do you realize that they are trying to get in touch with you?
Great question. So, this is where, when I it kind of drives me crazy when mediums do say things like, well, anybody can do this.
Yeah.
Really? It's a matter of vibration. You have to ask your team, through meditation. Usually that's why they say meditation or prayer. Some people, that are Catholic, pray the rosary, because that puts them in that vibration. They feel connected to God. They feel connected to Mary. Whatever's going to raise that vibration up, you do. And that's when you say, cover me in your energy. Ask specifically. If reading brings you joy, if gardening brings you joy, whenever you're feeling joyful, in that moment, ask for your joy guide to cover you. If you are feeling frightened or you are terrified of something, ask your protector guide to be with you. If you're driving at night and can't see, ask your protector guide to ride shotgun with you, and ask them to protect you, because what will happen is you'll start recognizing their energy. It took a long time in development. Again, my mentor, it's not something that just happens overnight. You do have to work at it. But you can learn to get to know when they're around.
It's like learning a different language.
And actually, I'm going to be teaching a class called Learning the Language of Your Guides. Yeah.
The more I do what I do,
She does integrated energy healing.
Love it.
So brings the angels in, and she does us, and we're just like, I went to a yard sale and they was like, I had a healing hour at her store. And this lady, I said, Dana, and she was like, oh my God. She said, I was scared to do it, and I loved it. I said,
Nice.
yes,
I
I
find
love
like the more that I do that though, the more I'm like, I get the messages and the more I get what they're saying. Like a year
takes
ago,
practice.
I'd be like, why am I thinking this? And then now I'm like, so your Uncle Bob's here, you know, or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
but that's where it starts. I
Yeah.
see when I first started the mediumship, the group reading, I'm being impressed with a cross. That's what they're showing me first. Vines in the ground. Those are all key words, and you learn what those symbols mean over time. And if you don't know what they mean, you ask for more, and then it either makes sense to you or it makes sense to the person. That's the most important thing.
the biggest thing is being brave enough to open your mouth and say it to the person, because they're like, what if I'm just randomly thinking this weird stuff, and then they're gonna be like, you're weird.
All right, make a
You
make
know?
a deal with your guides. Make a deal. I made a deal with mine. If you tell me 3 times, I am
I've done that
completely
too.
obligated to say it, no matter how dumb it sounds.
3 times.
Remember, the message is not for you.
Right.
It doesn't matter how dumb it sounds coming out of your mouth or what you're like. I have no idea what I'm saying now. When you let those things happen, 9 times out of 10, that person goes,
You're right.
Right.
"How did you know that?"
Yeah.
You don't know who Bob is.
Yeah, it doesn't bother
Yeah,
us.
or I'll say, give me a sign, and then like the first time that happened was like with my mother-in-law. Like I kept feeling like, he's here, you gotta tell her he's here, and I'm like, leave me alone. Like I'm trying to do this. Like I'm not very good at this yet. And then it was like so overwhelming. I was like, okay, if I'm supposed to tell her, give me a sign, and like I start just bawling. She starts like coughing up a lung. I'm like, what's going on? And then I was like,
There's your sign.
And I was like, and then I still
It's
didn't
released the
believe it.
fear.
I know, I still didn't believe it. So I kept going, and they kept pestering me. And I said, okay, give me a sign. Same thing. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm like, he's here. And she's like, what? I'm like, he's here. I'm supposed to tell you that. Okay, now can we just continue doing this?
I know exactly what you're saying, because you know what, we had a family friend that died suddenly. He had an aneurysm, aortic aneurysm, and he just kind of dropped dead. That entire night, the full night, like all night long, I felt like he was in the room saying, what the F, what the F. Oh my God, what the F.
Because at that point, they're still tethered to their body. They're
Right,
like,
yeah.
"What the-"
And I gotta get back in there, you know, you gotta tell Linda, the wife, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, these people are not gonna believe me, they're gonna think I'm absolutely nuts.
Right.
And then a year later, I was at a common place with this wife, and I kept feeling a weight in my hand, like I had a heavy ring in my hand. And it's almost like somebody was just doing this to me constantly. And I'm like, you know, I can't say this to him. Yes, you can, you know. No, I'm not comfortable. You think I'm crazy. I had this thing going on in my head.
Yeah.
And so that it got heavier, and this kept going, you know, even though it's like, and finally my hand just kind of, it's like, okay, now I look like I'm twitchy, you know. And then when I said, I feel like I'm holding a heavy ring. Why do I feel like I'm holding, and that's just how I presented it. Why, I'm around you and I feel this. What is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, oh, I have a message for you, it was just like, I feel this. What's going on? And she goes, oh gosh, I was holding Bill's ring in my hand trying to decide what to do with it, which child to give it to. Mm-hmm. And it was his military ring, and it was quite heavy. And he can this, you know.
Wow. Yeah. So you do.
So you
learn to honor
can
those
avoid it.
messages.
You can avoid it, but they'll pester you.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they will. You just got mine are pretty insistent, but we've come to an understanding.
I
It
had
just
to
takes a
accept
while.
it because I kept getting middle sickness.
Mhm. Yeah.
For somebody who's just kind of like starting, you know, to call or get in touch with their guides, you would need to protect yourself, right?
Yes.
So you can't just open up, right? You have to like you said, ask questions, make agreements. So you
It's
can
super
just,
easy. You'd be like,
just talk to
don't
them.
let it happen.
Oh, don't let it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Like it can be can be that. They're not going to let that stuff come in.
Okay.
It's your fear that invites it in. It's your fear, your negative energy that invites those things in. It's not them at all. A lot of times they're like, oh, here she goes again.
Okay, and that's a good point. Okay, so you cannot fear. Fear will always feed it. You can never fear. Okay?
Which is why I don't do channeling for other people and readings yet, because
fear.
I still have that underlying fear.
Oh, okay, that you're
Right.
drawing like.
Let me give you a case in point. So I do remote energy healing, and I work with people like she does everywhere, all over the planet. And I was working with one particular person who had a lot of heavy energy around them, and I got rid of them. But apparently, I didn't shake them loose enough. You know, they're like fleas. You know, you got to get the bug spray out. And so, but most people will interact with them like, oh my God, that, you know, oh, it's a spirit, it's this like scary thing. And I just look at them like, really, you're annoying, go away. Okay, so I was in bed, and so say, this is my feet, this is my head, and I felt like somebody came up and just went bam on my bed. My husband wasn't home, our son was in bed asleep, you know, our dog was snoring somewhere on the floor. And it was just like, bam, I mean, they wanted my attention. And I got up and I was
I'd be like, rude, I was sleeping.
I said, I was having the best night's sleep ever. You know, heaven help you when I cross over, because when I do, I'm going to hunt you down. And then I just said, you got to go away. And with the intention, no fear, you're out of here.
Right. You know.
And they can't, because think about that. If you weren't prepared for that, how scary would that be?
Yeah. So I have a friend who tells me that she would see like people come in, like the Matrix, you know, coming in. I didn't know what to tell her. So what do I tell her? Because she goes, oh, you know. But now she's better about it. But sometimes she gets into the zone where she feels that. And I don't know what to tell her. I just say, well, protect yourself. But
she needs to develop it.
If she wants to develop it, she needs to find a mentor that can do that.
She needs to develop it. She's got it. She's already there.
Yeah, she kind of channels, because when I read her things on Instagram, it's like, whoa, you know, she really writes differently from how she talks normally. And
yeah, it is important for her to, if she's not done development, she needs to connect with someone who knows how to help that. Like, you could, it's also a process, like when I do mediumship, I don't want your loved one's garbage.
Right.
They can come, I mean, and if they can talk through me, whatever. They don't get to stay. They don't get to leave that residual energy.
Yes.
Because, no.
So,
but I learned how to deal with that through my mentor.
Okay, so I can't help her, but she needs to find somebody back home. She's in, you know, Hawaii. But yeah, she says lots of things, and I mean, you know, if I didn't know, I would think she was kind of.
But then there's also
crazy. You know what I mean?
Something that's really, 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 really huge with me is ethics. You can have a gift and you can spout things off.
She needs to make a connection with her.
Also, why am I dressed like someone in Hawaii right now?
I know.
Right. Remember, what did I say when I walked in?
I know.
I did know
So
that.
I have worked with her.
I found this today. I've had it for like 2 years.
I
I'm like,
walked in.
oh, that's cute.
As we were walking in, I said, oh, look. I said, you look like you belong in Hawaii. Where's the volcano?
I know, yeah.
And like, I kind of want to be in Hawaii.
I did notice that.
But it's really important. Ethics is huge. This is a lesson for the class. You can have all of the clairvoyance, you can have all the gifts, you can have all the insight, you can have all the feelings, but you just go throwing stuff out there without understanding ethical boundaries and how fragile people can be. And like, just because someone, you know, oh, it drives me crazy when you hear psychics and mediums, and my TikTok feed's gonna go nuts on this because it's a huge topic that we talk about a lot, is well, your life is falling apart, you were sexually assaulted, and your house burned down because you signed up for it. It's all your fault.
It's in your house. Like,
that'll be $60, please.
Yeah. That's crazy.
That's horrible. So there's the ethics. There's just because you can doesn't mean you should. And that is the first thing I had to go through in development. Is understanding the ethics of having, I don't even like to call it gift, it's like being able to utilize the ability. being able to tap into it, and you have to be responsible with it, you know?
I think she's kind of like natural, you know, but raw, you know, like a.
Yeah, so and if she's putting stuff out there, does she know where it's gonna, does she know what spirit's coming from? How's she with spirit identification? How is she with like?
To me, it was like she doesn't know how to protect herself. She doesn't have like a
Yeah,
boundary.
she probably
I
doesn't.
always tell her, you gotta have boundaries. You gotta have boundaries.
And that's part of the ethics. And so when people are like, oh, I can only do one reading because I'm just exhausted the rest of the day, I'm like, well, then development class. Because I don't walk away, I never walk away from readings exhausted. Unless I sat in the chair too long and my butt's exhausted. But that's about it. But like as far as spiritually or mentally, no, I got things to do. So that is part of development, but I've been doing development for years. I mean, I have a mentor, I take classes. I'm supposed to take my development class like today, it's happening right now.
Do you mentor?
I just put it out on my website that I'm gonna start taking on mentees, yes, I'm gonna start mentoring one-on-one in my spare time.
Yeah.
And I have 4 development classes that I put out there that are just workshops. They're 2 hours for each workshop. One is called Spirit 101, learning how to, like, what do your spirit guides do? How can you tap into them, even if you're just everyday Joe, trying to figure out your vibration, how do you connect? How do you know how to utilize them? How do you find them? And then tarot, because I love tarot. That's where it's like the gateway drug to all things metaphysical. And so I'm teaching a tarot class. I'm teaching learning the language of your guides. So I said it just like that because that's what it is. I've always called it. It's like learning Spanish or the language of how your guides talk to you. So I'm teaching in that class, and then platform readings for somewhat like for more developed mediums.
And everything's over the web, or?
Everything is online. Yep, I do it through Zoom. My classes are limited class size. I literally just put these out like this past week.
So they're live, they're not like pre-recorded?
No, they're live. Like there's interaction, I'm talking with you, it's a class, it's a safe space, interacting with the classmates. And you can either choose to sit back and just take it all in or be an active participant. So yeah, and then mentoring. There's a couple other classes I've kind of got on my radar that I want to teach, but again, they're workshops, one and done, just to kind of get your toe in the water to see if it's something you want to pursue. And if it's something you want to pursue, I have all kinds of connections to other places that I'd be like, cool, you need to go talk to this person. They can get you into this class. Because I'm connected to a whole bunch of people who also teach development classes.
I have downloads, like I said, and intuitively, I just tell myself, okay, I'm getting this download for when I speak it out later. So I don't actually know, like I don't.
You may not know what it's for. You may just get it.
I don't, and then it's like, but I don't know when I'm giving it either. But I'll just be here, and they'll be coming and say, oh, I need this crystal, and then we'll talk for 3 hours, and they're like, oh, I don't need a crystal. I talked to you, and then I'm like, oh, that's what it was. So it's like, but when I'm getting this tick tick tick, I don't know, like how you know stuff that's going. I don't know.
But that's part of the development is learning how
I'm
to
thinking I should
recognize
do a
that.
development, but it really doesn't bother me. I don't know. I mean, I just say, okay,
No,
I'm
as
getting a
long
download.
Yeah, get it down. You get them. You get them all
And I
the
really,
time.
whatever I don't know what hurt me, it'll come out, whatever it needs
Yeah,
to.
she can
That's
see.
the thing.
She can see it when we're talking on Zoom and we're having conversations, and she can just sort of see it. I kind of glaze over.
Yeah. Yeah. I do the same thing though. You'll see me if I'm doing something, I'll go,
Yeah.
okay.
Or just you'll say something, then my ears will start ringing, meaning yes, yes.
Yes. Yeah, and that's just how your guides communicate with you and let you know, listen up. This is happening. So.
And we see numbers like crazy.
Yeah, angel numbers all the time.
Oh, I have a lot of angel. It's always 11, 8, 11, 1, 11, 12, 11.
I see 8, I've been seeing
11, 11, 11,
11, 7, 11.
I'm seeing 4s constantly right now. So.
Yeah.
Stability. 4s mean stability.
What do 11s mean?
11s are higher spiritual vibration.
That's right.
And also when you have 11s, but then when you break it down to a 2, then that's working with others.
Oh wow.
So working with others in a higher vibration.
Are you interested in astrology and numerology?
Numerology, I'm obsessed with. I was convinced that I was going to come up with a whole new language in numbers when I was a kid.
Wow.
Turns out it already existed. It's called numerology. But I knew it. It was weird. I would like. it was weird, and so I didn't realize that until many years later. Astrology, I always joke, I was interested in astrology, but I'm a Leo, and Leos are pretty much all about themselves, so I only know about Leos.
My son's a Leo. Boy, he's all about it.
And that's it. And Geminis, because I have 2 Gemini children, and I'm like, y'all are nuts.
He even told me, he said, when I make it big, I'll never see you again. I said, oh, but you will.
Oh, but you will.
I'm your mother.
Oh, but you will.
I'll have
That's
you
right.
back.
All right, well, let's take a few minutes break, and then I want to talk about this multidimensional healing stuff too. So it's good stuff. All right, how's it going in TikTok land? Where are my glasses so I can see what's happening?
I got caught on my
Oh, there's people watching still. How's it going? What are you guys getting out of this? Hey, Zareen. See all kinds of people happening here. Zareen, hey.
So, anyway.
Have you been able to watch any of this, or did you just pop in?
I do integrated energy therapy.
Oh, you're welcome, Marilee. We have more. I cannot wait to do, I'll do another live, like not today, because we're going to do readings here later. I'm going to do another talk on multidimensional healing. And then, yeah, I got to get some water. You are right. Look, I'm so glad somebody called me out on that. Oh, good. I'm glad you guys signed up for the class. Good. Awesome, Emily. So we're going to do another chit chat, and then I'll sign off after that. And then in the next day or so, probably tomorrow, I'll go live and we'll talk about all this stuff. You watch all the channeling. Oh, cool. Okay, I gotta get feedback on that because I don't remember any of it. So I'm hoping that later I'll be able to download the video and go back and watch it because I have no recollection of it. So, okay, so we're going to talk more, but I really have to pee, so. Thanks, guys. I love it. All my regulars are in here. You guys are awesome. Yes, multidimensional healing. Oh, it's fascinating. It's amazing. It's like when your higher self, my higher self connects to a client's higher self, and like it's similar to what like shamanism is, but I'm not even going to try to claim that because I'm not trained in that. So yeah, it's cool. We're going to talk more about that. Yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. I figured I'd come back on and see like 2 people in here.
Share the information, you know.
I'm so glad you guys got to see it. That's awesome. Very cool. All right, I'm going to take a potty break and drink my water. We'll be back in like less than 5 minutes. I'm just going to let this run because the multidimensional healing stuff is incredible. Okay, I will probably once I download this, hey Dana, what I'll do is once I download this, I'm going to put it on my YouTube channel, and I'll put some sort of promo up. But I'll put it on my YouTube channel so people can just go back and watch it and be able to fast forward to the part that's that they want to watch. So, I know there were like I can't believe there are 44. That's funny because somebody was just saying I see 4s all the time, and there's 44 people in here. I love it. Really? Wow, 70 people at one time. Yeah, usually on weekends, like there'll be like 400, and then it quickly goes down to like 20, like within minutes. Hey Dana, did you get to see any of the channeling stuff that I was doing? Or are you just not jumping in? I seriously have no idea like what was said. I remember my guides coming in and leaving. So I was afraid. My big fear was that I wouldn't be able to do it with an audience. So this is, and I told him up front, I'm like, this could go or it could not go. We're not sure.
Yeah, because
So
yeah, I noticed her.
Yeah.
her
Okay.
outfit.
Cool. I'm gonna go pee. Be back. Hang tight. Watch my chair. Make sure nobody takes it.
So yeah, my friend is I think she's like kind of talented, but she's young and
She's young, almost.
She got almost taken like I guess being led down the wrong road. That kind.
It can happen easily.
Yeah, that's why I said tell her protect yourself because she's so giving and nice that she's like oh that.
She's irascible. She's getting everything in.
Everything, negative, positive, everything. But then it pulls her down.
She's gotta learn to.
She's having a hard life,
Encourage her to talk to her like that. Really.
I will, but who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't like. She said that through through the internet, it's kind of dangerous because of the energies. Yeah, because she's like this, right? So everything. She gotta learn to. Because I know she gets like really angry sometimes and things happen, you know, because her energy's so strong. And I said, yeah, just slow down. Like, let it go. You know?
So when she's upset, she's driving down the road and the street lights go off.
That's me. Oh,
That's
you read that? That's me.
Yeah, that's
I can, like, if I get really upset,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I la 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 la, and my phone will die. You know, and I notice in Hawaii I would drive and I'm going, oh, the lights are going off.
Yeah,
Like,
as
I
I'm
hit.
going right by him. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought,
That's your
calm
better
down.
energy.
Yeah, I told myself, calm down.
So do you do healing work at all or anything?
Right now?
What do you do?
I babysit once in a while so far. That's why I'm here from Hawaii, because I'm a grandma.
Okay.
And yeah, I know, I love my children.
They are such joy.
Yes.
Have you heard of Tone Rin healing? That's energy work.
Oh my goodness, look at there.
Oh, he's a sweetie. What?
He
Look
is
like-
an empath.
Oh my gosh.
He is a what?
Empath.
And you are too.
You know, he looks like if
All kids are.
if
Yeah.
Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves and Brad Pitt could have him, that would
My
be the
grandson.
hit.
Oh
I love him. He's such a
But Tone Rin healing is a tapping energy.
Oh yeah.
I do that.
You tap
I
yourself
do.
like
I
this.
no acupuncture.
You
Points.
do acupuncture?
Okay,
Just
so
the points.
so when you're doing the tapping, the EFT and start with the EFT.
I'll hit the chair.
I do it on
That's the best thing
doll
I've seen all day. I'll
that
hail the
has all
chair.
the acupuncture marks on
You
it,
can do that.
That's
Oh,
hilarious.
and
So you're doing it for somebody else.
and I'm doing it long distance.
Yeah.
Oh.
Conference call, people
So
everywhere.
it's through the power of intention.
I feel like you're eavesdropping.
So
I know. Why
whatever
wasn't
your
I didn't
focal
wasn't sure if I
point
should do this. I'm
is,
like, no. Once I was walking out the door, I'm like, I better grab my
So-
stuff. I'm gonna do TikTok live for this. I figured can't hurt, you know. See how it goes. Either it was gonna be
What are you gonna show
an amazing thing, or it was gonna
Well,
fail.
that was actually my,
Who really knew
that's my
what was gonna
neighbor's
happen?
son and their dog were at, Drayton Hall, Charleston, South Carolina.
Just a bunch of chitty chat going on in here. Okay, so talk to me. Tell me what you guys. What questions do you guys have in all this?
Where am I going?
And pull up my chair.
So I want you, so watch this tile. This is the power of intention.
What questions do you guys have after that? If you've watched the channeling, what do you feel? You're on guard duty. You're welcome, Emily. Any questions come up that weren't answered that maybe like the people in the audience didn't answer or didn't ask?
Yeah, I have to work on my intentions because sometimes I can go into that negative.
You were told, oh,
It's
like when I was under, they said to ask what your level. Oh, had the coolest experience last night. Okay, so, well, I'm cool because I was tired. But like, okay, so I went to bed. Okay, I was exhausted. And I was like, and I'm never exhausted by like 11. There's another bathroom. There's another bathroom around, like out and around the corner. There's a second bathroom. Sorry, I had to give instructions. So many things. Oh man, I can't wait to go back and watch. So, okay, so the thing I happened last night, my level up was I went to, like I had the urge to go to I had to go to bed, which never happens. My husband was asleep way before me. You know, I'm usually up with Kimmy doing readings at some stupid hour. I was so tired, and I was like, I'm done. Went to bed, and then all of a sudden, like my body just filled with this weird energy, and I'm like, this is cool. They're like, and all I heard was, don't move, don't move. And like I just felt like this weird, like my body was filling up with all this energy, and through the top of my head, all the way to my toes, and then I finally fell asleep. They're like, okay, you need to sleep now. it was crazy. Like I just knew, and I was in that weird theta state, so I knew they had me right where they needed. It's amazing. Dr. Mike said everyone has 5 guides, but Star said 4. Well, we do. You have 4 guides plus a master. 4 guides you come in with, and a master that changes. So you do have 5 guides. Star is my number 5, but she hasn't been with me my whole life. So then all of a sudden, like it's like 1 in the morning. I wake up and I hear, "Go get a drink of water." I'm like, "Man, you're bossy." And I wasn't gonna go. And they're like, "You need to go get water." So I went and I was gonna grab a bottle of water. Like, no. Grab the clear glass. They told me specifically what glass to get. Got water, drank it all the way back, and I got in bed. It was good. And then and then I felt it again, like this whole expansion. It was insane. It was insane. I've never had anything like this, and I don't know if it was to prepare me for Star to come through. They've come through before, but this was different. And it could have been just because I was having 3 people come in. I didn't realize that all 3 were going to come in. I had no idea. I had no idea what to really expect at all. And yeah, prepping me because I'd never gone. And when I'm in there, it feels like it's like 5 minutes. It doesn't feel like and I looked at my watch and I'm like, what the? But when I came out, like my body felt kind of deflated. And it was just wild. It was wild, but deflated, but like heavy. And then as my blood started circulating again, I was like, I feel back to normal, energized, like I just didn't channel 3 people or 3 spirits. So yeah, somebody had asked something about how long did it take me to develop. I've been at this for a long time. I've had a mentor for a few years now, but I've been taking classes and getting certifications for at least, I'm doing readings and stuff for like 10 years. When John Edward told me, and I had that reading with him like 11 years ago, I think, ish. That's when I was like, oh, I better take this seriously. So yeah, I think they were prepping me, Miss J. So I think we're gonna get started on the chitty chat. They said they did the best prayer for this long, but you were getting tired. Yeah. Was my speech changing at all? Everyone talking at the same time? So no, I don't. Because they step into my body. So like Lily, Dr. Mike stepped in first, and I'm very aware, like before and after, like when they're entering and when they're exiting. I have no idea what they're saying. So they step into my body. They kick my consciousness to the curb, and then they like use my voice, and then they move out, and then Lily moved in, and I know she talked, and then she moved out, and then they did some adjusting. I could feel like all of a sudden my body was doing that expansion thing again, like it did overnight, and I sort of like my body sitting up, like I remember feeling more, and then I don't remember anything after that. And then when we came out of it, yeah, I sank down in my chair and like, because I felt deflated, but in a weird way. Said you were losing connection. Oh, and it could be because I had, okay, so my speech and face change, voice and cadence did change. That's cool. I can't wait to go back and watch. I've done this a couple times between answers. Yep. And that's what I found when I've recorded my channeling before, is that it seems to get a little slower. And it's funny because it's almost like sometimes they struggle with earth words. Like they sound confused by some earth words. So, and yeah, Star is such a huge energy. Like Star is a master, ascended master, teaching me how to do this. Big energy. So I'm like honored that I get that. So, all right. So I think we're going to call this meeting to order. Leah, I'm going to, once this is all done, I'll download it and I'll probably put it into my YouTube channel and make it available to the public. So that way you can fast forward through all the chitty chat, or you can learn about the chitty chat because we had a whole discussion prior, and I did some mediumship readings, and then some like there were people in the room that I was like, no, I know I'm talking to you, and they were like, no, I don't think so, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. But then afterwards they were like, some of the signs that I was like, you have to like listen. Sometimes it means literal things, not just metaphorically. And sometimes it's the other way around. And then like I got all the validations like after, when like there was nobody in here. And one of them I'm pretty sure was for a TikTok person, but Star, she was a more commanding voice. Who was? Star? Not surprised. Big energy. Yeah, they're coming back. They're coming back in. All right, I'm gonna settle the class. All right, cool. All right, thanks for hanging out, guys. Keep tapping the screen. Ooh, look, we're at 30,000 likes. I feel like 3 hours into this, we should have more likes than that. Like I've been on here for like 3 hours. Yep, I've been on for 3 hours. Get more likes. Tap that screen. Okay, so make sure. Oh yeah, make sure you go check out my YouTube channel. It's Spiritual Insight Guidance Network, or SIGN. I don't know if my name is on it or not, because I've got somebody else that I share with. So if not, you can go to my website, and it's on my website. You should just be able to click the link to my YouTube channel. Level and thought it was funny. They said you leveled up and thought it was funny. Of course they thought it was funny. How I broke my bone. Oh, I haven't broken any bones. No, I got COVID.
The sad thing is he probably had it.
Yeah.
No, you can put that more in the category definitely.
That's all right. I don't mind. Okay. All right. We're going to get settled here. Be right back. We're going to do this.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're up.
Where is it?
He's sitting out front.
The chair.
Right now, I don't know if you can.
I'm sorry, is he out?
I said you're right. I figured maybe that's yeah, I think they're getting ready to do readings, so that would be the end if we did. Did you sign up for one? I did, but I didn't know if you did. I did say something.
I agree. I love when you do stuff like this.
Hi! What's happening next?
Just taking a day. What?
What's happening next?
Well, we're supposed to be doing, we're going to talk about multidimensional healing for a little bit. We can get, it's not like there's a gazillion people here to get readings. So, like, I think we can talk about that for a good half an hour at least.
Or just tell what it is.
Let's talk about it. No, there's more. It is a big deal. What we do together, are you kidding me? It is a big deal.
You want to know the MBA or the, he was making me, was that what you were talking about?
Yeah, MBA, yeah.
I said, you might be a little nervous.
Talk about plus how it comes in differently. Your role and all that. You have a huge role.
I'm here.
Cool. And then after we do that, then we can move into readings. Or healing stuff.
My husband's car.
Just go with the flow. That's right. All right, well, let's get the discussion going.
Yes, I did.
Oh, goodness.
I was trying to.
Did he cut today?
Go first. Happy to do that.
I don't know, you just asked.
He's not gonna be here after today.
Well, it's 2:30 now.
He's a truck driver.
But I still, it's important. We need to talk about this stuff. So you talk. You talk.
Well, you have a lady, a reading at 2:30. If she comes in.
She can wait.
Let me close the door.
Actually, the room feels good having the air come in.
Yeah, I think it's too. It's not real busy here right now. Usually it's. The summertime here, I think the wintertime is going to be. We were busy, way busier in summer in the wintertime.
That's Sally. She's going to talk next.
All right, come on in, have a seat.
we're still doing chitty chat. So
We have a couple more. We got-
okay. When I say yeah, we can. Hey, put it in there.
Get in here. We're gonna get healed, see?
Where are you guys from?
I live in Westfield and she lives in Noblesville.
Noblesville, you said?
Yeah, Indianapolis area, yeah.
Yeah, just north of Indy. Are people coming or should we just go ahead and start?
I told him.
All right. We could
They're
chitty
right
chat.
up there talking to somebody.
Okay, well, then I guess we have to go ahead and close the door.
Yeah, so if they're, yeah, if it's gonna be loud, then okay, we'll come. They're coming.
Shut that door. Huh? Can you shut the door?
Although it does feel good to have the air coming.
I know.
All right, so there's a couple of things that we want to talk to you guys about that we do. There's two things. One is we do multi-dimensional hypnosis by proxy. That's for people who can't do QHHT in person. So if you can imagine speaking to Edgar Casey. Do y'all know who Edgar Casey is? Anybody who doesn't?
Me.
Okay. Edgar Casey is known as the father of holistic medicine. And he lived between 1870 to about 1940. And he was called, or also known as, a sleeping prophet. And he gave over 14,000 readings, medical readings alone. And he was very specific when he would tune into somebody. And so, because we do QHHT, which is quantum healing hypnosis, which is a deep hypnosis, I posed a question to Lorinda once, since we're both trained in QHHT, let's see if we could create an Edgar Casey kind of environment. All Edgar Casey was doing was laying down on the couch, getting comfy. And
So I agreed.
And so when you would access the theta state, you could ask any question that you want, because the higher self knows all the answers to everything. And so that's what Lorinda and I decided to do. I wanted her to be Edgar Casey for me, and I would be the facilitator. And so we realized we got a group of volunteers, and we started practicing to see how far can we take this. And so we did, got our volunteers together. She connected in. She connected into the person specifically, and that's what Edgar Casey did. He would say, we have the body, and the body is located at, and you'll find the cure for this at this pharmacy under that shelf. I mean, he got very specific. And we're getting there. What she does right now is absolutely, will blow your mind. So we got our volunteers together. We made her Edgar Casey. I was the facilitator. And then when we were done with our volunteers, we asked, what were your feedback? Did you like it? Did you learn anything new? Did you find it healing? We also found we could do remote energy healing or clearing going through her. So the person doesn't have to go looking for the pharmacy thing on shelf B in pharmacy A or whatever. And so once we learned we can tap into past lives, we can do energy healing, we can do, what questions do you have about your personal life? Why did these certain things keep happening? We can ask all of those questions and clear those energies, and we record it. We did pretty well. I think just even out of the gate, we really hit it really well. And we had a lot of positive feedback, so much so that iHeartRadio did a Q&A. iHeartRadio with Cara Goodwin, she did 3 shows on it so far, and it talks about what is multidimensional hypnosis by proxy and how does it differ from the other things that we are doing. And then we brought in our panel, we did a round table so that the people could, our volunteers could express to the public what their experience was. So that's, I have it on my website, sallyknott.com. If you want to listen to those radio shows, they are there. And I think you've got it too.
I got on mine.
And your website is?
spiritmessagesfromtheotherside.com.
So, at any rate, that's one of the things that we do. So, it's a multi-dimensional healing. But sometimes she gets way too busy. And she doesn't have a lot of time to, go lay down and take a nice nap. Because she sort of checks out and she does it when I put you down.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to get very proficient at doing remote energy healing. And that's what I do from my home, and somehow, some way, it went worldwide. I don't even know how I did that. I've got a following in Kuwait. How that happened, I do not know. But it will surprise you, the people who do reach out. I have Amish people reaching out for healing. And I think that was probably my biggest surprise for me, because I feel like maybe it's, again, going to the perception that we talked about earlier. I don't think an Amish person would be open to me doing what I call remote energy healing, but it turns out they're into it. So you just never want to prejudge anything or anyone for that matter. You never know what's going to take you. So with remote energy healing, you could be on planet Mars or Pluto. We can do remote energy clearing. I can do it in about 8 steps, and it's usually fairly transformational. You don't even have to believe in it. My husband back there, he didn't believe in it. I don't know that he did or didn't, but he was my biggest skeptic. But we worked on him quite a bit, and then when he gets naughty, I threatened to turn him into a toad.
I mean, it seems fair.
Seems fair. No, but I don't want to create negative juju for me, so that doesn't happen. But for example, I have a little boy who had severe allergies, and they couldn't really identify where the allergy was. He'd had a lot of the tests done. He was getting worse, and so his skin was reflecting it. He had a lot of eczema, and it was getting worse. He was being teased at school. He was 8 years old. He didn't know I was working on him. But immediately, Amanda said, can you identify what's causing his reaction? And I tuned in. I said, he's allergic to garlic. And she goes, I cook everything in garlic. Everything I have is garlic. Garlic this, garlic that. I'd have garlic ice cream. I love garlic so much. And so I said, well, take away the garlic until we get these other energies cleared. So anyway, she got back to me in a couple of days. She goes, well, he's been tested for garlic. He doesn't have a garlic allergy because it's not showing up that he has a garlic allergy. I'm like, okay, well, I think it's a garlic allergy. I'm going to stick with it. And she goes, okay. So she became very skeptical in all of that. So anyway, she did take away the garlic, and his skin began to clear. So within a few days, she was like, oh my gosh, he's not itching as much. I didn't think it was garlic. I said, well, let's go to the root cause and see if we can get the root cause of that allergy gone. And that's what we did. And it turned out that it was in a past life energy. Some people will say, I don't believe in past life. You don't have to. It can be a metaphor in your mind. All we know is that the language works. We move the energy out and the body clears. Just like the lady with the milk allergies in the lake. She just had to make a story in her head up, and it cleared. Now where that came from, nobody knows. Now with the little boy, he did have an allergy to garlic, but it was from a past life event, which means it's not being stored in the physical body. It's actually being stored in the spirit complex. So we are a mind-body-spirit complex. For him, it was in the spirit complex. Once I got the energy cleared out of the spirit complex, his skin returned to normal. I got an email from Mom within a week, and she goes, he came home and said, Mom, I love my skin. And that is why I get up every day and do this work, because it's the little boys who don't know that I'm working on them that now can eat like a preteen. I'm going after the pizza. I'm going after the ding dongs. I can eat all these things that make me a teenager, and I'm healthy and happy.
So he can eat garlic, though.
Yeah. He can eat garlic. His diet is a kid. Of course, now Mom says, how do I make him eat healthy again? I'm like, whoa.
Not my wheelhouse.
So anyway, under my name, if you Google my name, Sally Knopp, or I think I also have it under my testimonials on my website,
Mom has written a testimonial to that, so and I have my testimonials are live. They don't have to be, but my people are real people. So anytime that you have energy healing, if you've ever done Reiki, you might say, "Oh, you know, and this is more what I do is the remote energy healing." So it's kind of all played together because when she doesn't have time, which is kind of nice because she gives you more of a story what's going on, gives you the past life details and stuff going on, where I just go in and I clear the energies. I clear it out of the mind, the body, the spirit complex. And like I said, if you're just looking for healing and if you're in pain and whatnot, we get the energies cleared. If you want to spend more time talking about it, we can do a deep dive. That's not a big deal. But a lot of times people don't have a lot of time. And when I'm working with people across the seas, I'm not getting up at 2 in the morning to have a conversation. So anyway, so when I do remote energy clearing, you know, if you've worked with Reiki, you might think, oh gosh, you know, that Reiki session was really good. I feel so much better. And a month later, you start to feel draggy again. I need another energy clearing. And you keep going into that cycle. So what's happening is that the people are looking at your physical body. What's going on in the physical body? Well, there's a lot that's housed in the physical body. You could have trapped emotional energies, emotional traumas. You could just be being an empath and soaking up other people's stuff, and it's just weighing you down and making you feel horrible. I clear not only the physical body, I'm clearing the mind complex and the spirit complex, because it can be in any of those three, just like the little boy who had the garlic allergies. Nobody could find it in the physical body, but there it was, and it was in the spirit body. Got that cleared, and now he can eat whatever he wants. So that's what she and I do, and what I do when she doesn't have time. So, anyway.
So, if people on TikTok land were asking like what your website is, so I just shared it.
SallyKnopf.com. Yeah. Yeah.
I did.
KNOPP.
Yeah,
yeah, she's
I did. I typed it in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions from the TikTok land too? You guys have any questions? Like the process or how?
Yeah,
what's your process?
That's the synopsis version. So the process for remote energy clearing, one, I have to make sure that I have your permission. Energy clearing is not for the faint of heart. My poor husband has been my guinea pig through all of this, and I put him to bed for about, 2 days?
Accidentally, yeah.
Accidentally. But I've learned a lot since then, so he's been one of my greatest teachers. But the first thing we do is an 8-step process. We fuse the oversoul with the mini you, get that cleared, get it all fused back together, because as we're, our bigger self, especially out there that haven't heard this before, you have an oversoul, the bigger part of you, and then you have the little you, which expresses itself into the 3D. And as you go through life, you're going to have upsets and traumas. And even if you're just playing on a playground and you get smacked in the head with a ball, that's a trauma energy. So it can stay with you and it can resonate for years on end. So what we do is we fuse the two back together, and then we begin to clear the trapped emotional energies that Dr. Bradley Nelson talked about. It can be sadness, it can be trauma, it can be anger. Usually anger inward can express itself as rheumatoid arthritis, or high anger inward can express itself as cancers. So if you are diabetic, we talked about this earlier, it usually means that your life isn't sweet enough. There's a number of things that are going on. So we clear the trapped emotional energies. Dr. Brad said emotional energy is a frequency. You either feel high, you're happy, you feel low, you're sad. So if you feel an emotion strong enough, long enough, it can ball up and get trapped within our electromagnetic field, which then begins to disrupt the electromagnetic flow of the body. And so you remove those trapped emotional energies. Not that, we're doing the healing. That's really not what we're doing. We're just moving the energies out of the way, and the body will heal itself. The healing actually takes place between God and you. We're just getting the gunk out of the engine. So we get the emotional energies out of the way. The next thing I try to focus on are shock energies. There was a doctor in Germany, Dr. Germer, can't remember his first name, who wrote a paper back in about 2000, 2001. He did a peer-reviewed paper. He argued that shock energies in the brain are the root cause of all illnesses. And he said to his peers, send me the CAT scans of your patients. And when he did, he was able to diagnose the people with what they had 100% of the time. I don't know too many times that people, there's a 100% of anything. But he did diagnose the problem that the patient was having by looking at the CAT scans and looking at the pattern of the shock energies and where that was affecting. So we try to clear those out too. Once we have all those energies cleared, then we go through a reset and a rebalance. It's a recalibration period. When I say it's not for the faint of heart, when we do remote energy clearing, it can make you feel lightheaded. In my husband's case, very dizzy, where he couldn't get out of bed for 2 days. But we learned how to mitigate
but you got
that.
better at that.
Well, we learned we have to move all the energy out at once and not do a little bit at a time.
Right.
So sometimes we think I prejudged it to do a little bit of energy work at a time, not to traumatize. And what I learned from you can thank him. What I learned is that you got to do it all at once. It's, you got to jump in that cold water all at once and get it out. And so that's what I've done, and it's been a whole lot better since. I haven't put anybody in bed since.
That's nice of you.
Yeah.
I think you did that to me, didn't you?
And no, we did a little bit. Yeah, I think it kind of did. But you purged a lot. You had a lot of hidden stuff that you hid from yourself.
Right.
And so, anyway, so when you hide stuff from yourself, that all has to get purged too. I don't have to know what it is. All I got to do is get it, grab it, and get it out. And that's what I do. So you're not violating any trust, anything that you don't want known to other people. Your privacy is fully protected. So it takes, so lightheadedness is one of the symptoms that people talk about. Fatigue usually hits anytime between immediately or up to 7 to 10 days later. Emotional crying, I think was about, somehow. It's energy that's stuck.
Yeah, I think I had that.
Yeah, you did. And
Yeah.
Is this normal?
Huh?
I think you text me, is this normal?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's no.
No, I felt fine. I mean, but I was just, releasing.
Yeah, and so it's gotta go. It's energy, it's gotta go. And all I say to you is if that happens, ride with it, flow with it, don't fight it. In the fighting, you resist. And when you resist, it slows it down. It's going out. But you don't want it to be slow. You just want it, I just want to be done with this and feel good again. And that's what we've done. Now, for an example, one of the things I'll be doing and updating my website, when I do remote energy clearing, especially those who are really sick, especially the diabetics, it is important that you stay with your healthcare professional. You do not want to go into energy clearing and not work with your doctor or your healthcare professional, because you don't want to take medication if your body no longer needs it, because then it's just as bad. You're going to feel worse. So, but I can't tell you, I'm not a doctor, I can't tell you what medications to take and not take. That is between you and your physician or your healthcare provider. But when you work with me, you do have to be mindful of your body changes. And if you feel like, I might be getting a little bit over medicated, I'm going to be telling you, call your doctor and have them do a blood test. For me, I was on Synthroid. My thyroid shut down. I had high anxiety. I about pulled me from the ceiling. My thyroid shut down about 1995. And I've been on Synthroid from about 2001 forward. And this last year, I was able to come off of Synthroid. Now, my healthcare provider didn't believe me, so we've had to provide blood tests, and that will be going up on my website. It will be the before and after. But again, even me, I work with my doctor. I'm just an arrow in the quiver. So anyway, that's kind of the two things that we do. So we do it together. When we do it together, when it's the Edgar Casey MDH by proxy, you get the same energy clearing and healing, but you get a little bit of a backstory, which can be really a lot of fun. Or if you're just somebody that's more bottom line, let's just get it done. I'm tired, I'm sick, let's just get it done. Then I'm the sole dog and pony show there.
Yeah. Somebody was asking online, what is a shock energy from?
So shock energy can be from anything. I mean, you could, like a car impact. So if you're in a car accident, your brain is shocked. You could be on the playground, like I said earlier, and get hit by a ball in the face. That's a shock. Anything that shocks your system will leave an imprint in the brain.
Can it be an emotional trauma?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Oh yeah, definitely.
I was asking for the class.
Yeah.
That happens to all of us.
Oh, yeah. What about it when you're literally electrocuted?
Yeah,
that's a definite shock energy.
That's That's gonna do it to you. Were you shocked?
I was. Seriously, when I was about 4 years old, I was almost electrocuted to death.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll leave an imprint for sure in a lot of places, and not just in your physical body. It can also affect the mind and the spirit. So if you go into trying to figure out where does consciousness live, we often think it's inside our brains. It's really not. It's outside of our brains. But because the brain is part of the nervous system and you were shocked, it will affect the brain. And then remember, consciousness can also become distorted as it flows through the receptor. So yeah, it can affect you in multiple ways.
For your whole life, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I think you can heal it too. So that's the beauty of it. I think you can find the balance and healing and get a lot of that stuff cleared.
Next, I'd imagine, like if it's literally an electric shock, and correct me, this is me just guessing. If it's an electric shock, could it stimulate parts? I mean, we use like what 10% of our brain capacity. So say you get shocked, does that mean like could it stimulate something else, and then through the work that you're doing, take away the negative shock, but keep the positive going?
I always wondered if that's how I knew things that were going to happen before they happened.
Yeah, probably.
I was electrocuted to death when I was
Yeah,
a kid.
definitely. There's a gentleman that I watch occasionally. He's been hit by lightning, believe it or not, 4 times.
Oh man.
See, I think I'd just stay in the house.
Yeah, well, for him, he just keeps leveling up.
Done.
So everything everything becomes more enhanced. So yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, because I've heard of stories like that where if somebody gets shocked, if they're electrocuted or hit whatever, and they do become more aware. Because I believe it. Like, this is me believing this, but I believe it stimulates parts of your brain that normally wouldn't be stimulated as a human. So I can imagine it would open up, but still be very important to get rid of those fear, any of that negativity that would be trapped in there, that could be stopping you from progressing and using that to your benefit.
So before he's packing up, he's ready to leave, and I've got a hitchhiker ride home with her. Would you mind sharing with them what it was like to get the energy healing, especially when I was just learning and put you to bed for 2 days?
Well, you worked on me almost constantly in the last few years since you started doing this, and some of the things that you work on are headache, foot hurts, sprain, this and that, and I can't say that it always completely goes away, but it's mitigated big time, every time, with consistency. And when I think about all the other people that you worked on, that things that we talked about, I would highly encourage everybody to get on the website and look at her testimonials, because some of them will just blow you away. So it's definitely an experience. You just kind of got to open your mind and let it go. I can't even remember what you were working on when you gave me the dizzy spell, but that definitely hit home, and she learned a lesson from it. I was definitely bedridden for 2 days, but
until I figured it out.
yeah, so it's not it's not anything to be trifled with, but it's definitely a learned skill. And you've been doing it long enough now to where, you know, I trust you, and it's a good experience. It really is. It's something that, you know, is definitely been a positive in my life. That's for sure.
Got your blood pressure down too.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
So is it possible that you won't experience that?
Everybody's going to respond differently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, they're, without sounding like victim shaming, like if you are really resistant and you're like, well, this isn't going to work. Guess what? It's not going to work.
Well, but my one lady said it didn't work, and she
That's true, and she did. It did work. So, but I think it's also.
You said it works no matter if you believe it or not.
It true.
Right.
I would say through the MDH, when we've done healing like that, right? Some of the things that stick with me is we're going to remove it, but we have to replace the energy with something positive.
You don't need it?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
See you, kids.
Love you, honey. Thank you.
Bye, Lester.
Bye.
But that has to be replaced, and then they will say, we're going to remove this. Just try not to put it back. We can remove it, but if you don't change the patterns of what caused it, and you keep doing the same thing over and over again, then you're going to have the same thing coming back over and over again.
Yeah, we can do a lot, but also getting to the root of where it's located, mind, body, spirit complex, getting that gone. And a lot of times that will remove a pattern of behavior. Not always. If you are really rooted in negative thinking, then you're going to have to take control and rewire your own neural network. And how I tell people to do that is very simple. You get a rubber band around your wrist, flip it every time you have a negative thought, and then restate that negative thought to a positive. Eventually, over a period of 30 to 60 days, it'll be very difficult to think negative. It will be transformational just in how you think. Now, everything comes down to the power of thought and feeling. So, when we're doing remote energy healing, I don't have special juju. Y'all have it. You don't know that you have it. You just have to recognize how to get it. You have to be reminded of who you are. You're very powerful beings. And we may have some very traumatic things happen to us. We may be victims in crimes, but we don't have to allow ourselves to be victims.
I had a bout of depression a while ago. Lost a girlfriend. And I feel it, like a little part of my brain started to think about that, you know. And I had to get rid of that immediately. The longer I let it sit there, it would get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it makes you want to settle down into a pit of misery. You know, you think that's a safe, warm place for you to settle down into a pit of misery, but it's just a lie. But a person just needs to get rid of all those thoughts immediately. As soon as you feel them coming, just get rid of them.
Yeah, but you have to also, you don't want to bury the grief, so you have to go through the grieving process, as I'm sure you did. And you cry it out, and you get rid of the energies, because you don't want it to have it become stuck in you and then come in sideways and create other health issues because you didn't really fully process out the grief.
But our brains will lie to us every time.
Well, yeah, that's what Dolores Cannon calls Mr. Stupid. It's the conscious brain always lying to us. But having said all that, yeah, you can rewire your neural network is the point. And understand that through the power of intention, you can create your new reality, whatever that is. So when people say, for how manifestation, I say, well, you need to learn how to positively manifest. Oh, I don't know, I can't manifest. Well, you're manifesting right now, and your world around you is a reflection of what you've already manifested. So be careful. Again, it goes back to what you said, what you think. The first thing that comes to you is the thought. The second thing is the emotion. The thought and the emotion together, if they are vibrating in the same frequency, will create the manifestation. Couple of points. If I go to you and I say, hey, go win. You're gonna win the lottery. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll go buy a ticket. And you're feeling like, yeah, sure, Sally, roll my eyes. You're gonna cancel out the manifestation. The thought and the feeling have to actually match. So, and I wish my husband was still here. And I'll just make it real brief. And then I got a demonstration here I'll show you too. And I don't have a big screen to put it on, unfortunately. But my husband did not believe in positive manifestation. I mean, he was like being married to Eeyore. I'm sorry, I love him. Good thing he's gone. But I kept saying, you got to get to be positive thinking. And I was sitting in our living room, it's very big, and I was looking across the room. I think, you know what, I think I want a baby grand piano over there. So I call up the phone because he's traveling. I said, honey, I think I want a baby grand piano. You do? Yeah. And I want to put it in over there in the east side of the room. Honey, I love you, but I'm not spending thousands of dollars on something that's going to sit there and collect dust. I said, okay, I'll do it for free. And I'll have it within 48 hours. And he's like, no, okay, whatever. I roll.
Yes,
love
dear.
you, honey. And then hang up. The next day, I'm doing a QHHT session for one of the neighborhood ladies. And she comes in, she lays down, and then when she gets up, it was a great experience, yada, yada. By the way, my husband and I just bought the house up the street. We're going to use it as our guest house. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. You're going to buy a whole new home for some, guest to show up, whatever. So anyway, they're in there, they're doing everything. Well, a woman had left a baby grand piano in there, but I did not know this. So she goes, do you want to go see it? My husband's down there now. I said, sure. So we walked down there. And I walked in. The house is sparsely furnished. It's very nice, all remodeled, all beautiful. And I walked in, and there in the parlor was this baby grand piano. I said, oh, look at that, baby grand piano. Get on the phone. Hey, honey, look at this, baby grand. And so he's on the phone, and the husband's there, and he goes, yeah, if you know anybody who wants it, I'm giving it away for free. Happened when he was on the phone.
Yes. Love that.
All right. So, and
Is there much dust on that piano right now then?
no, you know what? I got to thinking about it. I thought, I don't really want a baby grand piano. So after I got it, I said, yeah, I really don't want it.
Wow.
I know, that's my bad. But I just...
Still a great story, though.
It is a great story. I'm going to send my phone around. I'm going to play this. This is a cloud that I dissolve in 42 seconds. So when I work with my clients, because when I get done, I am 61 years old. I don't have a lot of time left. I'm going to croak at some point. And when I croak, I don't want to have a lot of people say, oh my God, where'd Sally go? I want them to say, oh, Sally, she helped me learn this, and I taught this to my family and my grandkids and all my friends. I want people to become empowered. So they're not having to depend on people like Lorinda and I. It's about learning who you are and empowering you. And know that power of intention can heal you of anything. And there's techniques, no matter what you're suffering with. We've learned techniques during QHHT. We can tell you how you can heal your own body through the power of intention. So, and to make that, one of the things I tell people is I want you to start dissolving clouds. Now don't go, looking for the hurricane. Start with a little wisp. And then in 10, command it dissolved. And it will dissolve. Now, originally, it took me probably 30 minutes, and of course, sometimes I would lose track of the cloud because it was going too fast and I couldn't keep up. But the other day, the clouds were moving slow, and I'm thinking, you know what, I'm going to go to this event. I'm going to record dissolving a cloud. So that's what I did. I went outside, and I was like, okay, there you are. I'm going to dissolve you. And it's just sort of sitting there, mocking me. And I just commanded it dissolved, and I got it gone in 42 seconds, and I recorded it. And this is not that Sally can dissolve clouds by herself. One of the things we do when I work with people, you're going to start dissolving clouds. And the reason is to show you are that powerful. You, with your power of attention, can do this. It's been proven over and over in the quantum field. People have written about it. Greg Braden, I think I talked about him earlier, where the monks were dissolving the tumor.
Lynn McTaggart has written a lot about the power of 8 and how they reduced crime, like in Jerusalem back when all that was going on over there. So it is about engaging you and your higher self and becoming the most powerful being you can be. So I will pass this along, and you guys can hit play right there and watch that cloud dissolve. And I'll start here.
I've already seen it.
Can you show me how to make rain? Because my kid needs it really bad. Yeah.
I'm just running down the house work.
Oh.
I'll just look down the road. Oh, my kids, okay.
I was in Los Angeles, so I drive a truck. And I thought I'd grabbed a swimsuit, but it was a shirt. Anyway, there I'm sitting out in the Pacific Ocean, sitting on a rock. And look down right next to me, there's a swimsuit stuck in the rock.
Oh.
That's funny.
Thank you, God.
Yes. I wasn't able to reach that on my
Oh, shoot. Okay.
I need to make.
Do you guys have any more questions before we're going to start moving into personal readings with people. So pretty much the chat is done. So if you guys have any more questions, I can ask Sally about energy healing. If you have any questions for me, if you saw the channeling earlier, we talked about mediumship and all that. If you have any other questions for me, drop them now.
No, I'll take my calling. Yeah.
You're the first one.
I don't know when they're gonna do it.
You can do it. You can. You absolutely can. Hey, I promise you, it's not a special juju.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to get set. I mean, I got to get my stuff set up. Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, you
I don't
could just
know. Do you have to read
learn
here in a little bit?
Okay, well, I'm doing 10-minute readings, so like, yeah, let me sign out from here, and then I'm gonna get set up so we can move into readings because we're like half an hour. So, yeah, I can do that. All right, guys, no other questions?
Did you see it?
Okay, do you have any resource that we can use to heal ourselves? I would say I don't do the healing work. I do the QHHT, which coaches you through, or BQH, which as far as resources, you might look on Sally's. She may have some books listed. I do not have any of those resources right now. Something I can actually look into though, and see if I can post. Sally might. I do not. Sally might. She does most of the healing stuff. So check out her website and see if there's anything on there that there's books or any other resources that can help you do that yourself. I do not have those things on my site as of right now. Because again, I do BQH and QHHT, but those are services I offer. She might actually have some resources online. She's talking with people now, so just check out her website, and she might have some on there. And if she doesn't, you can email her, and she'll give you a whole slew of books or resources to be able to reach out and learn those things. Cool. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks for hanging in there, being here all day, and we'll.